Good evening, Nation. Welcome back to Rogue Nation. We've been away for a little while, so hopefully you're excited to hear us. And if not, well, we're back. Tonight, we've got some new nicknames that I've come up with, and they're dumb, they're stupid, but fuck it, I don't care.
I can't wait.
So tonight, joining me, we are missing one player, and he'll be back next week, so you can try to figure out who it is. Tonight, joining me, I've got the Red Ranger of Power.
Oh, man.
And then next to me, I've got the God Doom of Podcasts.
Oh, dude. God Doom.
How are they stupid?
And then tonight, I will be your Herald of Thunder.
Nice.
These are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So, you all been gone?
It's super comic booky, and I love it.
That's what I was going for.
Awesome.
I will see. It came from, and you'll hear this later in the podcast with the Thor #1. When I got to that last page and he said Herald of Thunder, it's like, I want to be the Herald of Thunder. I was like, oh, I want that. So I was like, well, that's going to be my new nickname. And it's like, well, I can't just have one nickname, so I had to come up with names for everybody else. And I went through a couple of iterations because Kevin here was the hardest. I was trying to figure out what to call him.
No, but it's true. I have had a hard on for God Doom.
Yes, I knew that. That's why I was like, I think he'll like this one, especially since it's the God Doom of podcasts.
Yeah.
What was your first choice for Kevin?
The chrome-plated surfer of the airwaves. Yeah, see, I didn't think it would work, so I kind of moved on. You were the powerhouse from Eternia.
That's either way.
Actually, the only one I had a permanent name for was George. He was the first one I came up with, but it was real easy because he's talking about is Witcher for the past couple of weeks. So you'll get George's next week, but it's Witcher related. So George, if you're listening, it's going to be Witcher related.
It can also be drinking related.
I didn't say that, George.
He's basically the bard. That's what I've told him.
Yeah. So we've all had Christmas has passed. We all have good Christmas. Everybody doing okay?
Yeah, it was good.
Everybody get what they want.
I'd say this is the first very adult Christmas for me.
Yes.
Well, you first as a husband and
right,
wife.
husband. Yeah. But like I've already been a homeowner, shit like that. And you know, I now turned 30, so I'm kind of used to quote unquote adult gifts like cash or whatever, like gift cards and whatnot. But then now, like you said, like, you know, Val moving in and then us getting married, I got like quote unquote home gifts, which what I call are fucking cheap gifts that are just essentially gifts for Val, not me, because we got like a stocking,
an actual stocking.
Yeah, a stocking like for Christmas, like a Christmas ornament, stocking. We got a stocking. We got some like house decor thing, and a Christmas sweater for the dog. I'm like, none of this is for me. This is all for Val.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, compared to my Christmas, where my wife, who listens exactly to everything I said when we were in Galaxy's Edge at Disney, bought me a Luke lightsaber and a Luke cloak. And that was my big Christmas present. So I was like, she knows me. She knows what I want. So
I just imagine you didn't take it off all fucking day.
No, I did. It was warm. But believe me, I wore it for like an hour.
Hey.
And every chance I get, I play with that Luke lightsaber.
So now, Joe, tell us, what did you get the chosen one, your child?
A bunch of toys, a bunch of little.
You get him started, getting him into geek mode, or
it was small. What do you call them? Playmates, or Mattel. It was a Superman Batman set.
Nice. Oh, nice. Nice.
You have to get him something Baby Yoda related.
As soon as it's available.
Speaking of which, I ordered the plush, the Disney.
Nice.
I ordered the plush the other night, so it looks really good.
Because to the podcast, Joe's son is the child.
Is the child, yeah.
Or the assets, as Werner Herzog would say.
Yes.
Until you guys get your own assets.
I forget, does Werner Herzog's character get named?
No, he's just the client.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've got a lot to talk about in this episode. We have been absent for Star Wars reasons, so we are going to touch on Star Wars tonight. It's going to be a lot of Star Wars talk towards the end. So if you don't want to hear it, you probably shouldn't be listening to us anyway. But we're going to get into that a little later. We got some comics we want to touch on because we can't not talk about comics because we are primarily a comic book podcast, not TV show. So tonight we're just going to jump right in because we really want to get to that Star Wars talk later. And we're going to start with Kevin. You want to talk some Hawkeye Freefall #1?
So I did, and I'm smiling now because I just thought this one. I never would have thought a Hawkeye book would be nonetheless my pick, but my first pick of the year. Nonetheless, the first pick of the decade of 2020.
Did you read Old Man Barton though?
No, I actually didn't.
Oh, I thought you did.
And I wanted to. No, that was on my to read list, and I just kept pushing and postponing to the point that I never got around to it.
Oh, I remember now. It was somebody else. Yeah.
So Matt Rosenberg, who had done the Punisher book, I've been following him on Twitter, and then after he ended his Punisher run, the one with him versus Baron Zemo. I don't know if you guys. I know you guys remember me talking about that one. He had tweeted, for like weeks that he's going to be coming out with this Hawkeye book called Freefall. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, cool. The thing that really, the linchpin for it was this one image, and it's Hawkeye fighting a Ronin, who is supposed to be Clint Barton.
Right.
So I was like, okay. I mean, he already kind of, got me as a fan with the Punisher book. And then he did Matt Rosenberg also did the Star Wars book. That's the prequel to the Jedi Fallen Order. Mm-hmm. So it's the Dark Temple one. And it's actually starring the two characters, vaguely supporting characters in the Fallen Order game of Eno Cordova and Seer.
Yeah.
Right.
Seer.
She's the apprentice and he was the master.
Right.
Because in the game, she's closed herself off to the Force.
Right. And he's dead.
Yeah. Right. But he's the one that you're following. You're the one
you're
following all his. Yeah. You're following all his. Well, in the game, he's the one you're following all his memory.
Right.
His memory.
I only know now because I'm playing the game now.
Oh, you are playing the game now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's funny how you guys already have talked about it, and now I just started playing it.
Well, I finished the game like a month ago.
Yeah.
So
it's a friend got a gift card for Christmas, and he redeemed it, and he's like, "Hey, I think my Xbox is still the home sharing, the game sharing on my Xbox, so we actually have game sharing together."
There you
go. We haven't done that in years. I don't play. So he's like, "Well, go ahead, start. You can play Star Wars." And I was like, "Are you sure? Do you mind?" Because my idiot ass is thinking that we share progress as well, and he's like, "No. Like the progress is not. It's saved on the Xbox.
Right.
We're sharing the game. Right. It's not cloud saved.
All right.
So I was like, okay, cool. So I could play without having to worry about his progress versus mine. Right. So I started playing, and then I haven't been able to stop.
Yeah, it's addictive. It's like you're like, I want another Force power. I want another this. I want to
open another chest.
Yeah. So the writer Matt Rosenberg, who did the Punisher book against Baron Zemo, and the Dark Temple Star Wars book with those two characters from the Jedi Fallen Order video game, he started this new mini run, Hawkeye Freefall. And I have to say, it's fucking amazing. It's what makes Marvel really incredible, where it's really awesome action, really colorful characters, incredible fucking artwork that's really vibrant. Like, it really pops out of the page. That's vaguely cartoony, but just borderlining, like, okay, I can still see, like, stubs on Clint Barton's face. Like, it's still, like, sort of photorealism. But what really shines in the book is the humor. Clint Barton is a bona fide, like, I don't want to say that he's almost like a Deadpool caricature, but he's almost like he's doing, like, a parody on a street level hero in the Marvel world.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So every location, like, it'll cut to, he's about to, pounce on a bad guy, and it says some shady area in New York, abandoned warehouse, and in parentheses will be like, out of a billion.
One of New York's many sketchy warehouses.
Shit like that.
Yeah.
And it says it in all throughout this book in Freefall #1.
Oh, the cape is in the beginning. I love the cape.
The hood.
The hood, excuse me. The hood. I'm thinking of a TV
The hood. And it's so funny how, like, he thwarts the hood's plan, some arms deal, but doesn't matter because he walks. And all the guys he had just hired, they're the ones that do the time. And he goes, "Hey, I'm going to go after you." He goes, "No, you won't." And he shows out that the cape is, like, possessed, it's a demon or whatever. And it's a lot of cool, really witty banter that I don't want to get into. I just want to get to the overall story. But I love how the story actually starts with him in this really funny, like, brunch scene. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on? And it's like this, it's like, and the, what's it called? The location spouting says the most boring place in New York. It says the Upper East Side Manhattan. No, Lower Manhattan. That's what it says, Lower Manhattan. So that he's confronted by Falcon and Bucky. The night before, Ronin, his other persona, had just attacked an envoy, a federal envoy, and robbed them, and like left the federal agents in the hospital. Surprisingly, it doesn't say killed, so I don't know what that's supposed to imply. But yeah, so then they think it's him, and he's like, "Oh, so you think it's me?" They're like, "Well, who else is it going to be?"
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, 3 people have held the Ronin mantle." And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's not so and so. It's not Echo because it's not a girl.
Right.
Mhm.
It's not the federal agents weren't vampires, so it's not Blade. It's not someone else. I forgot who it was." So then they go stake out and I love how it's like, a random New York rooftop.
Yeah,
I love
some random roof across from some random garage.
I love it, and it's just like you could tell that like Hawkeye's clearly not taking it seriously, like how he has been in the whole book.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, I showed up with coffee." And they're like, "We don't drink coffee." He goes, "Well, what am I supposed to do with all this coffee now?" And it's so silly, but to me, it really sets this like comedic tone. Like the whole book plays like a really dark comedy because a lot of really messed up drama happens, and people die or get arrested or get sent to jail or get hurt or whatever. But Clint is really the comedic through line, because we're following his head. It's really Clint in first person. And to me, I thought it was so cool. And I like how the ending, they get their ass handed to them in a battle against Ronin, this Ronin character. And I like how it ends, besides their ass getting handed to them, because they won't cooperate. Clint goes, for a punch, and then Falcon gets in the way. He goes off first, and then he takes like Clint's punch by accident. And then as Bucky tries to go for like another hit or like a kick or whatever, Clint is throwing an arrow, and then the arrow gets stuck on like Bucky's metal arm or shit like that. They're not fighting like a cohesive team. So it's cool how like Ronin, this other Ronin character, gets the upper hand on them, and he's like, "Oh, like just leave it alone, Clint." It's like, okay, so it's someone that knows Clint, maybe Bucky too. But I love like the very final thing, they're laying on the pavement when their ass is handed to them. And Clint is like, "Hey, Buck." Bucky's like, "Yeah, Clint." And he goes, "I told you it wasn't Ronin."
I saw that at the end of that.
To me, it's like,
told you it wasn't me.
It's a recurring joke since the brunch scene that he's like, "It wasn't me." And it's like this back and forth between them. And then, not Bucky, Falcon has to get in the middle, like, "Okay, cool it. Like, let's figure this out together. You're not leaving our side." And that rewarding punchline at the end is it's so good. It's so awesome. So it's funny how I kick off the new decade and the new year with possibly the most Marvel book ever,
Nice.
where comedy is a through line in this really dark, subdued storyline where I think it's almost like a parody on a street level superhero. And I think it's awesome. And I think this character is the perfect one for their POV, and this writer, Matthew Rosenberg, is the perfect person to do.
Well, I definitely like the artwork. I think the artwork really works for it as well.
Yes.
It's got that, like you said, it's got that cartoonish look to it. So
Right,
it really
but not
plays,
too cartoony.
No, but it really plays with the humor of
Yes,
it.
exactly.
So
That's why I'm like, it kind of feels like as if like it's a Deadpool book, but
without
less
the fourth wall breaking.
without the fourth wall breaking and without the overly jokiness. Because I've read some Deadpool books, I'm like, bro, I can't care about the story if everything's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
Right.
You think I didn't buy a joke book. I bought a comic book. I want to read a comic, not a joke
Yeah.
book.
So that was Hawkeye Freefall by Matthew Rosenberg, #1. That was great. I instantly subscribed to it, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep reading this.
Good. It's good to branch out and get some new books. I know there's some new stuff that I want to take a
Yeah.
look at.
And another thing is like, I'm glad that it's not an ongoing. It's like it's.
It's a mini.
I think it's a mini. All right, so that's
Either
like
mini
5 or
or
6.
maxi, so.
Yeah. Even if it's a maxi, that means it's only 12.
Yeah.
And that means there's an end point, which is awesome.
Yeah. So I'll go next. I read Thor #1, the new Donny Cates, Nick Klein joint, as it were.
As did I.
And
You read it, Joe?
Joe was
Oh,
the
of
first one to
course.
read it. Joe
Yeah.
texted me. It was like, "Oh my god, And I immediately dropped what I was doing, and
Well,
then
I put it in the face. I put it in the chat. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god!"
And I was like, I
Amazing.
immediately dropped what I was doing and read it. It was like, okay, well, that's a pretty ringing endorsement. Not that I wasn't going to, I just hadn't gotten around to it yet.
To me,
Wow.
that team is so unfair to have that good of a writer and that good of an artist to be playing, to be writing, and essentially doing such a perfect collaboration with such a perfect fucking character.
Mhm.
It is. I kept having internal conflict of like, I want to keep reading, but I want to look at these pages.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Everyone's design was
Beautiful.
beautiful. The Tree of Life was awesome.
Right.
Asgard looked beautiful.
Spoilers.
Thor.
When Galactus fell out of the sky, I was like,
Oh my
shit.
god, that
And that
splash
was a compliment,
page.
by the way.
It was
The ringing endorsement. I said that was a compliment because you don't usually
I know.
text about books.
No, I do. It's just. But Lady Sith was awesome too.
Oh man.
So, yeah,
I-
she's the new.
She's the new.
Heimdall.
Well, what
She's
do you
not
call
What's
it?
that title?
What's the title? The title is.
Oh, she's the keeper. She's the guardian of the
Bridge, the Rainbow
Bifrost.
Bridge.
the Bifrost, right?
She's the guardian of the Bifrost.
She sees all.
But she's got his omniscience.
Right.
Is the Bifrost the name of the gate?
No, Bifrost is the name of the Rainbow Bridge. It's the name of
Right.
the bridge.
So then why do some people say Rainbow Bridge and others say Bifrost like interchangeably?
The Bifrost has always classically been the
Right.
Rainbow Bridge.
In the movies, they called it.
and in the movies, it's kind of
Right.
it's been kind of subjugated, so people kind of go, "Oh, it's the gateway." But remember,
That's
in
how I
the
took
early
it.
comics, it was actually an actual Rainbow Bridge
Right,
that came from Asgard to Earth.
right. But
It
I
wasn't-
thought
you
the
weren't
bridge
being-
itself was the Rainbow Bridge, and I thought the gateway into Asgard at the other end of the Rainbow Bridge was
The
the
bridge
Bifrost.
itself was always the Bifrost.
Okay.
So this book, we've been waiting for this book for a while. Donny Cates, who we've all loved, has decided to take over the Thor book, and
After Jason Aaron's incredible.
Beautiful run. And we will be talking about King Thor, the last Jason Aaron book, later. Not tonight, in another episode, but we will be getting to that later. But this book we felt it needed to be talked about now because if you're not reading Donny Cates, you're sitting somewhere in a corner just away from comics because he is probably, to me, he's the new Jeff Johns for me. Because I was thinking about that the other day. I was just like,
I was gonna say like Brian Michael Bendis.
well, when I say
'Cause I'm
Jeff
thinking
Johns,
Marvel.
but when
Okay.
I say Jeff Johns, though, I mean like the guy who, when he puts his name on a book, I immediately grab it. Don't even care what it is.
Right.
Yeah,
You
he
know?
really, especially Jeff Johns at his peak, he revitalized characters.
Yeah, and that's what Donnie's doing too.
Yeah.
Donnie is kind of bringing all these older characters back in and making them relevant again,
Yep.
which I'm really excited for. But what I also really like about Donnie's work is that he is not afraid to throw characters in that you would never expect. Like it seems like other
And
people,
tie-ins.
yeah, it seems, and tying into his other books and his
Yeah.
other stories, which I really like about him too. He's really making this cohesive, making Marvel cohesive again, making
Yeah.
it one universe. But what I really like is that he seems like some writers when they start writing a book, they're like, okay, I have these guidelines, I have these fence posts, and I can't go beyond either one. And Donnie says, I don't give a shit about these fence posts. If I need to have Doctor Doom run through a scene and give everybody the middle finger, Doctor Doom's going to run through the middle scene and give you a middle finger.
Right.
It's just I
Do
think
you think that's him, or do you think that's Marvel just allowing him to do it?
I think a lot of that is him going, look, this is my story and this is how I wrote it, and them going, if I change it, it's going to make it less, so run with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what that is to me. And I think Donnie's earned his stripes. I think he really, his editor probably doesn't edit him too much. I think he probably lets him go and run. He's like, okay, you need Galactus? All right. Galactus isn't really being used here or there.
Right.
Take him, You need the maker for Venom? Okay. Well, go run with it. You want to create a council of reeds from every universe? Please, go ahead and do that, and stuff like that.
That shit still blows my mind.
Yeah. So this book starts out with Thor, who's now king of Asgard, who now presides over everything, and who is pretty much, from everybody's standpoint in this book, at the beginning of this book, has retired from being the
An
hero,
Avenger.
Right.
an Avenger, and everything. So he's thrown Mjolnir through the 10 realms, and Mjolnir's broadcasting a message from King Thor, basically saying, no more war, we're going to have peace, and that's really all. If you've got a problem with it, you know where to find me. Which is basically the gist of what he's saying.
What I love is, even though it's Donny Cates, essentially wiping the slate clean, he's
Right.
honoring what Jason Aaron just did before,
Mhm.
especially with the end of War of Realms. So you see all the other realms some realms are literally picking up pieces from the war.
Yes. And the hammer ends by landing on Earth conveniently at the time when the Avengers are fighting some kind of giant mole monster from the ground. And what I love is what Tony does is I'm assuming it's Cap that has to pick it up. Well, no, he calls for it back. Never mind. But Tony asks for a Sharpie. And then the next thing is when Thor calls for the hammer back, the hammer comes back and there's a notice written on it saying, "Nice shot, enjoy your retirement," which kind of sticks in Thor's craw a little bit because he doesn't want to retire. Yeah. He still wants to be the adventurer out there and everything, but he's now the king. And now, instead of the huge golden halls of Asgard and everything like that, his throne is actually in Yggdrasil, the World Tree, which actually has, if you look at the front page, the symbol that Thor is wearing on his new costume is actually carved into the tree above him.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And he's also got Odin's two crows that were his eyes on Midgard.
Does it mean strength? I think it says it there.
Yes.
Right? I think it says it means strength.
Okay. Yeah, the throne, the Nordic rune for 3, symbol of the great thorn protruding from the tree of life, symbolizes both defense and destruction.
Defense and destruction. Damn. Then to be writing that hard, but I just love looking at that. You're just going through the pages, and I can't stop looking at it.
Yeah, they're amazing.
The art is beautiful.
It's just so great.
But there's something about it. It feels folky. It feels like the art is for folklore.
Right.
Well, as much as I got you, and what I really like is, as much as I got used to Mike Del Mundo's art in the last Thor book, I'm really glad that we're back to something more basic for this character.
It's because Mike Del Mundo felt very fantasy heavy. There was something about it that it felt otherworldly, so it fit. Yeah,
I got used to it. I didn't like it at first, but I got used to it.
Right. But now, you told me that, and the same thing happened with me.
Yeah. But now I'm really digging Klein's look at this, and I really like Thor at the beginning of this book with the beard and the Viking helmet with the horns on it, and he's still got the eye patch. He's still got the Destroyer arm as his arm.
Right.
Yeah, so not a lot has changed from Aaron's run to this.
No, he's fully accepted the role of being king of Asgard.
Right. Well, I don't know about that. He's literally pushing things off.
Well, but he's doing stuff. But what I'm saying is, he's not sneaking off and doing other things. He's sitting on the throne. No, he wants to, but he's sitting on the throne, which is something that Thor always was like, I don't need to do that. I'm good down here. Right. But he's actually sitting on the throne and being a king. He's not being a great king, but he's still doing the job. And you've got I'm forgetting his name now too.
From, the Warriors too. Right?
Yeah, the big one.
I forget his name.
Oh, it's gonna kill me. Pogan.
Volstagg,
that's it.
Volstagg,
the former War Thor, who's back to normal.
Yeah, he's back to fat.
And he's an advisor for Thor, basically telling Thor what's going on. And then Loki shows up after everybody leaves, and he's kind of taunting him, but also because he's also the king of the Frost Giants now. Right. So he's kind of sympathizing with him, but at the same time saying stuff like, you're not out there doing the things you want to do. He's kind of goading him a little.
Yep.
And Thor gets mad, and he's like, you shouldn't really do this. You shouldn't taunt me. But then he gets mad, and he throws the hammer at him. But he's also, with this complete control of the hammer, he's also able to stop it before it smacks him in the face, which I thought was really cool.
And he's like, how can you could never do that before? And he's like, I now have the power of the Allfather as well.
Mm-hmm. I now have he has the Odin Force.
Right.
So, but then, as in classic Donny Cates thing, he drops a bomb right in the middle of his story, and the first bomb he drops is fucking Galactus.
A Galactus-sized bomb.
In the middle of the fucking city.
In the middle of Asgard.
Right in the middle.
And killing people.
Yeah. I mean, it's not... I mean, and Galactus looks pretty fucked up. He's missing a hand, part of his helmet, and he's like... And he thinks Galactus is there to fight. He's like, I'm ready to fucking take you on. Let's go. He's got that, Galactus, you dare, and calls down the thunder and everything, and Galactus is basically telling him, look, I just got my ass kicked by the ancient storm, the Great Black Winter.
Right.
And then they start going into the history of the Great Black Winter because they talk about where he last saw it. Because he says he's seen it twice.
Right.
Just before this happened and when his last universe just died.
Yeah, back when he was Galen.
When he was Galen. And yes, exactly. So if you don't know the history of Galactus, Galactus was actually a scientist in the universe before ours. Right. Named Galen, and then when the universe died and was reborn into our universe, he survived and became Galactus. which is, if you, depending on what book you read, he's actually part of the yin and yang of our universe because he keeps things in check by destroying planets while other things keep things in check by creating life.
Right.
He's the destroyer. There's a life bringer out. It depends on which book you read. But in the process of learning about this, Thor also finds that the tree, the Yggdrasil, is dying.
Yep.
And because they're saying that because the Great Black Winter's coming, this universe is starting to die.
Yep.
So he calls together all the heralds that he can of all of Galactus to figure out what the hell is going on. And Cosmic Ghost Rider is there. I loved that Cosmic Ghost Rider was sitting there. I thought that was pure Donnie.
Yeah.
Like, I got to put him in there.
Right, of course.
But
he was a herald too, so.
Yeah, but he was a herald, but in the future.
Right. But, hey.
So they're trying to figure out what the Black Winter is. And then Surfer shows up, who's now transparent. He's black.
Right.
He's still thinking.
Not transparent. He's intangible.
Intangible. I'm sorry, that's the right word. So, but he's the one that explains what the Black Winter is to everybody. But he also talks about how, because it's like the Star Plague, the Blight Storm, the Rot Blizzard, many names, but one truth is the true end, the Black Winter. And he shows them, but he also talks to, they need to get Galactus back because Galactus is the only one that can fight it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he needs to, and Surfer has found these worlds that would give Galactus full power, but he's hidden them from Galactus so that he can't eat them. And he's been hiding this for a while. And he's like, but we need to give him one because he's the only one that can take on the winter. And I love when, and then Thor obviously decides, well, he's not going to do it by himself. I'm going with him.
Right.
And I love when they tell Galactus, and Galactus is like, oh, you're very strong to have hidden even from me these planets.
Yeah, that's most impressive.
Yeah. So, but he gets all geared up and ready to go to leave. He wipes off the little note for Tony, and he's in his old costume,
right.
And he's got Boulder behind him. He's got basically all of Asgard plus the heralds of Galactus with him. And he asked Galactus to kneel, which I thought was really interesting. And then they go through this thing, and they're basically he's bringing Asgard with him to fight the Black Winter. And then Galactus says, he's like, no, you don't understand. I've seen this twice. And each time it's taken on a form. And the first time it took on it took on complete blackness, which was to signify that he was ending because the universe was dying.
Right.
The next time he saw it, it showed Thor as his ending. So he's like, what? Right,
because he explains it presents itself the way you perceive something differently, like how we perceive Galactus. Mm-hmm. His perception of what he looks like changes depending on who's viewing him.
Yeah.
He's in a Black Winter works the same way, but it's your end that you see.
Yeah. And then saw it again, and he said, but what I saw was as the embodiment of my one true death. And it was, he says, I saw Thor. And he blasts him. And, Surfer's like, no, what are you doing? Because everybody thinks, he's going to destroy Thor.
Right.
But this is where the book just fucking blows you on your ass. Because he's like, he gives him the power cosmic, and he basically says, we're going to fight this together, but if we're going to fight this, we're going to do it together because when this is over, we're going to have words. If you're going to be my end, we're going to have a discussion after this is over. So I'm going to keep you close. But for now, rise, my herald of thunder. And you're like, what the fuck? Thor, one of the, if not the most powerful hero in the universe, has now become even more powerful. He has got the power cosmic and the magic hammer and the Odin Force, and he is now a herald of Galactus. What the serious fuck?
He has both his eyes back. He has both his arms back.
Both his arms back. And it looks like the hammer is kind of pulled in the embodiment of the power cosmic as well.
And the armor, too. From the Destroyer. See? His cuffs and his boots.
Oh, the spikes.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
As if like the armor like spread out.
Right.
Yeah. And then it looks like his chest with the starfield on it might be part of his omniscience and everything like that. Like the old Captain Marvel when it was Gina Spell. He used to have his skin used to have the starfield on it because that symbolized his omniscience.
I don't think there's any character right now more powerful than that.
There's
nobody.
And when I first started reading this book, and what I wanted to get to about this was, everybody saw the new costume and they just kind of put it to the side. And was like, that's a neat costume. I like the costume. I was like, I don't, I never to me was like, it'll be explained, but I never in a million years thought, they're making him the fucking Herald of
Herald,
Galactus.
right.
I need
You
that
know,
pop.
even when yeah, right. But even when Galactus dropped into the middle of the story, it still was
Still
never.
doesn't click.
It was still
Right,
doesn't
right.
click. So when you get to the end of this book and it says Herald of Thunder, you're like, how did I not see that coming?
Bro, and
that's
that
just
splash page.
and that's the genius of Donny
Right.
Cates.
Yeah.
Right.
He's very good at getting you going. Holy shit!
Right.
So
He gets you excited for something that you didn't know you wanted.
exactly, and that's what I really like about him. He really knows how to pull that out of you.
He's so fucking dope.
So I'm looking forward to more of this book.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to read the next issue. I kind of wish it was bi-weekly, so we get to a
Me
month.
too.
But we're not getting to a month. But that's okay. But we did get a little preview in the director's cut of the next issue, and it does show Thor throwing the hammer at Galactus and destroying his hand. So that's pretty fucking cool. But if you're not reading this book and you wanted something new to read, you got to read this book. This book's fucking amazing.
Super amazing.
It's the new book of the it's the book of the year right now. Granted, I know it's the beginning of the year, but fucking it's the book of the year.
Damn. Hey, I'm not arguing.
So we got one more book after Thor that we want to discuss because, like I said, we really want to get to that Star Wars
It
stuff.
sucks after that. I wish we would have left Thor last.
Yeah,
that
kinda.
one was
Yeah.
the most hyped.
Yeah.
Because
So
X4 is just a dinner date, and then
yeah,
It's like a dinner
it
date.
is kind of like a dinner date.
it's a dinner date with some Cyclops action.
I thought
And Morgan.
to me,
Right.
it was the most Hickman X-Men book
Right.
to date, and I thought it was fucking incredible, man. X-Men
And that's saying
number
something
4.
because I thought the one with the grannies in the last issue
Right.
issue was the most Hickman book. So
Now I remember, I was like, I've never seen this much food in a comic.
Well, there was a
them eating
menu.
so much. There was a you're
There
right.
was a menu.
I was
Fucking
like-
watermelon gazpacho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Joe, we know this
Uh,
book starts off with them going to Switzerland to meet.
Right.
It's like a gathering of
It's a World Economics
Right.
Forum.
So like
Yeah.
a leader from each country,
and then Magneto.
It's
Xavier-
mostly what are they called? Ambassadors.
ambassadors
Yeah.
from each country.
and then Magneto, Xavier, and Apocalypse show up to be ambassadors for Krakoa.
All in suits, by the way.
How
Not
does-
their costumes.
How does Apocalypse get a suit?
I have no
You
idea.
don't think Apocalypse has a fucking tailor? Come on. Actually, he's a shapeshifter, so he probably just shapeshifted into it.
True.
That is true. I forgot about that.
And then you have Gorgon, who I've never even heard of Gorgon, so I had no
I
idea.
thought it was Gorgon, the Inhuman.
Right.
And
No, but it's not.
And it's not.
No.
It's someone else entirely.
Yeah, I don't remember this character at all.
Yeah.
So
Hickman really is going super deep cut
Yeah.
with these characters. But I thought Magneto has not only the best dialogue and the best
Oh, he's-
lines,
Oh, yeah.
he has the most bitchin' suit.
Yeah, he's got the
all
white
white
suit.
with
yeah.
the purple
with his
under.
white mullet.
Oh man.
Yeah, here's the menu. Watermelon gazpacho infused with habanero and poblano chilies. Shredded kale, mushrooms, bacon, and parmesan. That's the salad.
Man.
And then olive wagyu, Kawagi Prefecture, and Colbert sauce. I have no idea what that... Wagyu is a steak, is a beef,
Right.
so I'm assuming it's some sort of steak. And then brioche tressé de metz. I don't even know. It's a bread of some
Kevin, your
That's
food?
it has to be
like a bread pudding or something.
a French bread pudding.
Yeah.
Kevin's wedding food was better.
God damn it,
It
was.
I don't know. You didn't try the watermelon gazpacho.
I don't care what that is.
Yeah. And then it
Let's
lists...
just try that chicken though.
The chicken was good, but the cake was better. So, and then it gives you the breakdown of who's there because you've got Xavier, you've got Magneto, and you've got Apocalypse representing the
And
Krakoa
Forrest.
Council, and then you got political representatives from Wakanda, from China, and the Wakandan attaché, the Chinese ambassador, and the U.S. ambassador, and then you have international guests.
Yeah.
And then they're from Brazil, Italy, Switzerland, and India. And the Italy, Switzerland, and Italy are business guests, while the Brazilian guest is academic. And they basically just have a summit. They just talk about what what they're going to do, because they're all kind of worried about what this means. But this new nations come in, and then
Not only that, but the drugs. That's mostly what they're all talking about.
exactly.
Is the drugs that
right.
extend the human life 5
From
years,
Krakoa, right.
fix like brain diseases
Cancer
in humans
and
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But one of the things they bring up too about the drugs is the fact that they've found that they don't think it needs to be taken on a regular basis. Or was it a weekly or monthly? I don't remember. Like
Weekly. They said weekly. Oh, the scientists have discovered like we don't really need to take it weekly. They're like, well, yeah. Well, some of our prognosis have been for profit. And he's like, but that's in any market.
Mm-hmm. But I love when Magneto basically takes over the conversation and tells him, "You've taught us what to do."
Yeah.
It's like by watching you, we've learned that we don't fight you out there
physically.
We fight you with money.
I love he's like the old me would have just taken all of you apart right here, right now.
Right. Yeah. But the fact that and then this is coupled with the fact that they've actually got a strike team both upstairs and downstairs ready to go to take them out.
Right.
And Xavier gets a whiff of that because one of them was scratching his head and removed the little bolts that hide their thoughts.
Right, and then he finally read the mind.
Yeah.
They call it a psionic blocker or something like that.
And then he told Cyclops,
Cyclops and Gorgon to go take him out.
Take him.
And with Cyclops, he just kind of knocked them all out. Gorgon was fucked up even worse. He cut all their arms off.
Yeah, I saw
that. But left them alive.
Yeah, like, you get to live with the shame. I was like, holy shit, dude.
And don't attack my kind again, as he said.
Crazy.
Well, one of the things I love is when they first address Apocalypse. They're like, so what should I call you? And Saba, Mr. Nur? And he's like, Apocalypse. My name is, what was it? My name is to...
Right. It wasn't for him to say.
I'm Apocalypse. My other names are not fit for you to utter.
Right, yeah.
I just love that panel. It's just him looking down on the human, both literally and figuratively.
I mean, yeah.
And I also love that later on when they start talking about how, you guys, as humans, you guys have been screwing up all your lives. It's like you guys, want how the Dark Ages, how they got lead. They had to mine it from Roman stuff because they lost the ability to make lead at the end of the Roman, during the beginning of the Dark Ages.
Right.
And then they're talking about, and you don't even know how the Dark Ages started and how this ended. Yeah. And then Apocalypse kind of chimes in with, he's like, I know how it ended. He's like,
he's like, oh, but who cares? And he's like, you should care.
Right. I ended it.
And they're all like, you could tell like they all like put their forks down or something because like they all just stared at him as he said that.
And he's like, okay, so who cares who caused the end of the Bronze Age? It's like, I was alive then, and you should care. He's like, is that so? Then tell us what caused the collapse. Me.
Oh.
And then they just go back to this. But the whole gist of this is basically Magneto telling him, look, we're going to spend money, we're going to make money, and then we're going to spend money to buy everything.
Yeah, the influence, the schools, the institutions.
And then they even like, so what are we supposed to do? And then Xavier's like, it's like, adapt, change, because that's what it's all about.
Tells him, he goes, because I had a dream once, and a shred of me still believes that dream. But also, that man has also learned what you must do now: adapt to this new world.
Yeah, right. But he really gets into it when he's like, I'm trying to find that one page where he's like, how long would it take? Oh, here we go. We cannot trust them. How long do you think until someone blinks and the peaceful defense disappears? And Xavier, that's the first time Xavier's speaking the whole time. He says, a month. And he's like, what? And he's like, it took you 1 month to try to kill me.
Yeah.
Before you try to kill me.
Yeah.
Because we had peace for a month and then you sent someone to kill me.
And this is the first time.
Which is the events of X-Force.
Yeah. Right. And with this first time, you've also seen Xavier without his mask off. He actually took the mask off to have this conversation.
Right. Which is a crazy fan theory that people were saying that he didn't look like himself.
Right. Yeah. So that's been disproven right now.
Yeah. It looks perfect.
Unless whoever it is actually is changing everybody's minds.
Oh, the perception of how he looked. Okay.
So, I mean, it's possible if you wanted to go down that road, it's still possible. That theory has not just been disproven, it's just been moved to the side at this point.
Right.
So, depends on where they want to go with it. But that's really all this book is them telling them, look, you guys need to change, and this is what we're going to do. Basically, Magneto just laid out how they were going to defeat them. This is how you're going to lose.
But it's funny, it's juxtaposed to Cyclops and Gorgon physically defeating this opposition on the upper and lower levels of where they're at. Mm-hmm. And I find, to me, that juxtaposition is the most Hickman thing.
Yeah.
You're literally getting a fight on two fronts.
Yeah.
An intellectual one and a physical one.
Yeah. But it's so Hickman to have a character that's so arrogant that he basically comes out and says, this is how you're going to die.
Right. Yeah.
And if you don't change, you're going to get rolled over with the waves.
Not only that, like, this is how you're going to die, but this is how you're going to die faster if you don't adapt.
Yeah.
But if you adapt, you'll last a little longer.
I'm helping you. I'm telling you how it's going to happen. You just need to figure out how you don't need to change it.
And I like how, like, I forget who gets mad of, like, and we actually made a rule of not to harm anyone. He goes, in fact, we actually made a law against it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who it was. I'm pretty sure it was Magneto because he was the one.
Yeah.
Well, no, he says it. We even made
Yeah.
it. It's like, yet here it wasn't us. They said it was them, the bad humans. They always say. Yet here they come to kill us all, Charles, and all we've done. Here they come to kill us all, Charles, and all we've done to earn it is to promise not to kill them. We even made it a law.
Crazy.
He said at the end, cross us again and we will retaliate. So
It's not fair for Marvel to have come out with so many, but specifically these two incredible fucking books so close to each other, Thor 1 and X-Men 4.
yeah.
Yeah, well, it just proves that they're killing it. You know,
They are.
They've got the people.
There's something about, because I listened to the Marvel Pull List, which is Marvel create
Their own podcast, right?
the
Yeah.
Marvel podcast, but who are the people on it? It's their like digital marketing team. So it's like essentially Marvel marketing.
Right.
And they always bring up their creative summits and like their creative retreats. And apparently they have one every quarter. That's unheard of for a company to do that. And they do that because they want writers and other creative teams to keep collaborating and to keep questioning each other. Apparently that's like at their summit, that's one of their not conferences, panels that they have, is they question the storyline of another creative team.
Oh, right.
And it's not just creative teams there. It's also editors, head editors, and marketing as well. Because marketing wants to know how to best market a certain storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I'm like, yo, that's a really creative conference. And other retreats whatever that they do. That to me is incredible. And then Donny Cates, supposedly since he got onto Marvel, he's been begging for Thor since he got on to Marvel. And it's been years that he's been on Marvel now.
He's been there for a while, but apparently the editor of Thor has been like, he's been here all the time trying to get Thor. When he first started, he came to me and said, I want this book.
Yeah. And that's why no one knows, because apparently like it was even a question on the Marvel Pull List podcast. They're like, no one knows who put him with Nick Klein, but whoever did should get a raise. Because that art was so good.
I agree with that completely. So
that was comics.
That's all comics we're going to talk about tonight because we got some bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, all Star Wars basically.
Yeah, basically. So if you listen to us and you don't want to listen to Star Wars, now's the time to turn it off.
I wouldn't
that's
know
all
why
we're
you
going to talk
listen
about.
to us and not watch Star Wars.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like we do talk a lot about Star Wars. So,
even the comic form.
Yeah, yeah. Because next week I'm going to try and get into Kylo Ren, Rise of Kylo Ren #2. So,
and I read one as well.
Yeah. So let's just jump in. We're going to skip most of the TV and movie stuff. We're going to go right to Mandalorian episode 7 and 8. So 7 dealt with them having to. Oh God, it's been so long. I'm trying to remember now.
Right.
I know the episode ended with. Okay. So he had to go back.
Yeah, Grief Karga gives him the chance to like come back.
Yeah.
And we could settle this because the imps, as they're calling the Imperials now, are becoming a big problem on Nevada.
Right.
No, Navarro.
So Mando goes to Cara Dune, recruits Cara Dune, goes to the Ugnaught
because he doesn't trust Grief.
No,
Kargas.
he doesn't.
Right.
And then the Ugnaught brings IG-11, who he's reprogrammed as a nurse droid. So
cool.
Yeah. So and Mando is still very. Don't want to travel with this thing, but he's like, it's fine. So they go to the planet, and Grief Karga meets them, and he's telling them, it's like, look, we got to travel, we got to go over here, we're going to take care of this. He's got 2 bounty hunters with him, and the whole point is that he was going to double cross them.
Right.
But in the process of them traveling, they get attacked, right?
Yeah, they're like, we have to spend the night here.
And the birds come.
There's like dragons. They literally look like little dragons that attack them.
So Grief Karga gets hurt, and then you see for the first time the child, Baby Yoda, use the Force healing ability to heal Grief Karga.
Finally.
Yeah. Which changes Grief Karga's position, and he ends up shooting the other 2 bounty hunters because they were going to double cross him.
Right.
Okay.
And he tells them as such. He's like, look, the real plan was to
kill you and take Yoda.
Yeah. Right.
So they go in
The child.
but they form a plan. They
Bob
send,
Iger came out and said it. He goes, his name is not Yoda.
yeah.
It's the child.
So they send the child back to the ship, and then with the Ugnaught, and then they go in and they're going to trick the client, which is Werner Herzog.
It's really annoying that we don't know his name.
Yeah, Werner Herzog is like he's ready to take the child, and then he gets a call from what we assume is his boss,
Right.
and he shows up and he's like, "Oh, I have the child, I have the asset in custody." And he's like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
And then
He's sleeping.
and then they shoot up the room, killing the client and everybody except for Bando, Cara,
Which is super rude because he was so polite to him. He goes, all right, let's celebrate with some libations.
Yeah,
And then he's like, oh, but let me see the child. He goes, no, it's still asleep. He goes, all right, let's just drink instead. I'm like, what a really trusting
Yeah.
villain.
you're not gonna double cross me.
Right? He's just like, okay, fine, let's not wake the baby. Okay.
Yeah.
Like he just whispers, like, what the fuck?
And then
What
meanwhile-
a weird turn of a character.
I didn't cut, but yeah.
Yeah, and then he goes, let's celebrate with libations. And I'm like, what the fuck? If the plan was still to backstab, to betray Mando, it's like, what a weird way to
Yeah, but
celebrate it.
It wasn't his plan.
No, the client wasn't in on it. Grief was gonna
Right.
Betray
him
Mando.
and then take the baby to the client.
client, yes.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I thought the client would be mad as fuck because
Right. He took all his
He took out all his stormtroopers.
Right, and took the baby.
So they get shot up, and then Cara, Grief, and Mando survive. And then when this TIE fighter lands, how we've never seen a TIE fighter land before, where the wings
Yeah.
fold up and it actually lands close
how
to the ground.
weird.
Yeah, but it's like it makes sense. You're like, okay, I can buy that.
No, but to me, and begs another question. I'm like, okay, he comes out the back. No, he came out the top. So I'm like, so how does he get down? Does he jump down?
I guess.
Dude, does every TIE fighter have to jump
No.
down
No,
from
they
that
have ladders.
height?
No, they have
I've
ladders.
always seen them land like that, and the ladder comes down, and they come down.
Right from the bottom.
Right.
Right,
It's
you've
always
never
been
seen the
that.
top.
I've never seen that thing fold, but
Yeah.
it's cool. It's
I
cool.
liked it. So he
Something
said,
we skipped when he picked up Cara Dune and the Ugnaught. I can't remember who says it. I think it's Cara Dune says something about the Baby Yoda possibly being a clone, or I think it was Mando. And he's like, "No, I've seen that. I've seen clones. He doesn't have the characteristic of clones."
"Oh, okay."
That's true.
And they were
Yeah.
playing that card game on they're arm wrestling.
Yeah,
on the ship, and then the baby Yoda starts using
A
the force to
force choking,
strangle
yeah.
it. He's like, no, she's a friend, don't, so this guy shows up and sends off two scout troopers to go after the Ugnaught, and the episode ends up ending with the Ugnaught killed, dying, and then the baby is face down on the ground, and they come around and pick it up and scoop it up, and they leave, and then that's the last episode you saw on a Wednesday. And you didn't get a new episode until the following Friday. And you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? But then the episode came, and you're like, okay,
I think that's the episode we also get the Ugnaughts name, Quill.
Quill.
Right.
Yeah, because he kept calling him Quill.
Yeah, but it's like 3 eyes. It's like Quill.
So the next episode begins with the two scout troopers that had picked up the baby
Right.
have come up, and they've stopped just before going into town, and they've called in and said, well, you might want to wait. The Moff is pretty upset right now.
He's like, he killed the...
They killed the guy just for interrupting him. And I was like, okay, we'll wait here. Now, you guys know who the two scout troopers were, right?
One was Jason Sudeikis.
One was Jason Sudeikis, the other one was Adam Powell.
Which is the one that did the punching?
Jason Sudeikis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because apparently he's the one getting death threats.
Yes.
Because people are fucking retarded.
Retarded.
So he punches the baby in the bag a couple of times, and the other one's trying to see it. He's like, come on, let me look at it. And then they prove that stormtroopers can't shoot by having the shooting and they can't hit nothing, which I loved. I thought was great.
But I like how they make excuses. They're like, oh, damn blaster. And then the other one's like, I can't see with this damn helmet.
But I like how they shake the blaster too, like it sounds like a paint can. They're like, this damn thing. But then it cuts back to Mando and them.
Before you move on from that sequence, that was what reminded me that the episode was directed by Taika Waititi.
Oh, really? Oh,
because the humor, I'm like, okay, this is hitting fine, but it kept going and going and going, and I'm like, oh, holy shit, bro, can we fucking move on? Because the baby, they're like, okay, do you want to see it? I didn't even get to see it, and then they have a banter about whether or not to see the fucking baby, and I was like, well, after a while, I'm like, well, just show him the fucking baby. I don't care anymore. The worst part is I like that kind of humor, but I don't want it in certain.
I think you were just anticipating. You wanted to go back to the main story. You're like, I want to know what's going on here. Not
exactly.
Here.
And it's like, we dwelled on a joke for fucking 5 minutes.
It worked for me. I thought it was great. I was very.
But what doesn't work for me after the first minute and a half? After the following 2 or 3 minutes, I was like, bro, I don't care that much.
At least you didn't freak out like half of America when he punched the baby twice, and you're like, fuck this guy. Yeah. Like, it's just a
fucking
puppet.
Sending Jason to make his death threats.
That's not even a puppet.
That's retarded.
So it cuts back to them in the bar, and Moff Gideon, played by Giancarlo Esposito, has shown up, and knows everything about him. Knows all the way down to Mando's real name. Knows that Cara Dune was a shock trooper for the Rebel Alliance. Knows that Grief Karga was an ex diplomatic, I think, some kind of diplomatic attaché or something like that.
No,
or maybe he was he ran I don't know. He was somebody important. Right. He wasn't always like a bounty. Right. He was somebody else. And then he knows the Mando, and he knows Mando's real name, which we've all known because Pedro gave it away in an interview. But
Din Djarin.
Din Djarin.
But is Jin
Din with D-Y-N Djarin?
No, he says Jin, but there's a hard D. It's a hard J with a D at the beginning. So it's Din Djarin.
No, it's Din Djarin.
No, okay, I'm getting confused. Yes, it's D-I-N, Din. And then the Djarin is the D at the beginning.
Maybe
it's a hard J in the second in the last name.
Yeah. So, he gives him an ultimatum. He tells him he knows I think he knows that they've got the kid already.
Oh, also the Cara Dune is from Alderaan.
Oh, did they say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alderaan,
so it explains her hatred for the Empire.
There you go. Yeah, I didn't. I watched it a couple of times.
Yeah, she's from Alderaan, and Din Djarin is not from Mandalore, but was saved from.
He was found. He was saved by the Mandalorians. But that's when you find
the thing we flash back to has a name, and he said that it's the Night of 1,000 Tears.
Yeah,
or something like that.
That was the raid on Mandalore.
No,
not Mandalore.
No, whatever his planet is, that's what it's called.
Right. Yeah.
The Night
of 1,000 Tears.
Of 1,000 Tears. Then he was saved by a group of Mandos.
Yes.
Of Mandalorians.
And they trained him.
The Mandalorian, whatever happened that made them scatter, that event is still called the Great Purge.
Yeah.
It's something else entirely.
But you get
to me, like a lot of people were confused by that. I rewatched just that part of him explaining all that of literally every character, and I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. It's two separate events.
Right.
The one event, the Night of 1,000 Tears, is Mando's Din, his planet. Whatever, we don't get the name. Whatever happened there, and it's weird because those droids in the flashbacks, those are from
they're battle
Clone Wars. Yeah, they're battle droids. But then the
pre-war, well, pre-rebellion, yeah,
pre-Battle of Yavin,
right?
Which is how how they reference the years in the world of Star Wars,
right?
Which is weird. So I was like, how did they reference it before?
It's before.
I know, but in that time, how did you reference it?
Years.
So. But yeah, my big takeaway was the Alderaan, the Cara Dune being from Alderaan.
Yeah. So he gives them until nightfall, and they've put up this giant weapon that they know can basically take them all out.
Which I thought was weird. I was like, just fucking kill them. Like, I didn't get it.
He gives them until nightfall to surrender. And then...
I'm pretty sure he wants the kid, not dead.
But he also says something that's very interesting that leads into a theory I have later. But he says, the kid is more important to me than you'll ever know. And I'll touch back on that a little later. And then they're trying to find a way out. But we cut back to the two scout troopers, and IG-11 shows up and fucking destroys both of their asses and picks up the baby, gets on one of the scout bikes, and goes into town, which in a fucking awesome scene of him taking people out. And still coupled with the giant smile on the baby's face, is just like, oh, this is so fucking great. Shows up, gets the baby, takes him into the bar with him. Actually, they use that as an opportunity, as a distraction to go out and start taking people out. And then it ends with
And Gideon only gets one shot at, and he shoots at, I think, the droid, the IG unit.
no, he uses this one shot. He shoots at the power source for the big gun, and he blows
Uh-huh.
Jaren back,
Yes.
which actually hurts him. And but before that, you had Jaren basically saying it's Moff Gideon. He was there with this, and then you get the line that was really good. It's like, but you're a Mandalorian. He's like, Mandalorian's not a people; it's a creed. You know. And it's like, okay, which is what we've been saying since the beginning. It's like, look, he's not Mandalorian.
No.
It's a religion. It's like the Jedi. You go
Exactly.
into it. You know?
Exactly.
Right.
So,
But there's factions.
mhm.
Because again, we still know. My God, why am I forgetting her name? The female Mandalorian on Rebels.
Sabine.
Sabine, she
Right.
takes her helmet off all the time.
Oh,
They all do.
Yeah,
Up until this show, every Mandalorian except for Boba Fett, every Mandalorian took his helmet off.
right,
correct.
Every one of them.
right. So you kind of get that the Creed has like factions.
Yeah. So they're trying to get to the sewers because that's where all the bandos are. They can't break through. IG-88 shows up. He could cut through the thing. Everything gets destroyed. Bando gets hurt. He doesn't think he's going to make it. Tells him to go. You go. You go.
Yeah, shot
While
the
they're
head.
Yeah,
Yeah,
shot in the head. While they're having this conversation, a flame trooper shows up and goes to take them all out. And when he goes into the room to take them out, the baby uses the Force to block and shoot the flames back at the guy, destroying him.
I love the flame troopers armor.
Mhm.
The accents, the red on white accents.
Which they had been advertising long before this show,
Yeah.
because the mask has actually existed in
Mhm.
GameStops for a while,
Oh wow!
and it's like,
Because he was in the game Battlefront.
oh, that's why.
Ah,
Okay. So
But
they
is it
transfer
all
over.
flame troops?
No.
Troopers?
There were regular gunners, and then there was a flame.
Right. I just find it weird because since I'm now playing Fallen Order, I don't see any armor that
No.
looks like that, especially the flame trooper ones.
No, you won't see them.
No, because it's all new armor. It's all like Purge Trooper. They're all black armored characters and stuff like that. Those are the new ones for this.
Right,
story.
because Fallen Order is before A New Hope.
So going on, they get into the they send him off saying, "You guys go, leave me here. I'll finish it off." And then IG-88 stays behind and says, "Look, I can help you, but I got to take your mask off." And of course, Bando's like,
No.
"Fuck you! That's
Right.
not happening." And he's like, "No living thing has seen me without the mask off." And he's like, "Well, I'm not a living thing," which I guess softens him enough to take the
Because
mask
it
off.
makes sense.
Yeah, but I love how when he goes to take it off, you get that suction release,
Yes.
like Vader's helmet. So I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. That was a nice little touch."
Yeah.
And you take it off, and you finally, for the first time, you see
Pedro
Pedro Pascal.
Pascal.
And you're like, "Oh, it is him. Oh, great," you know? So he gets healed by a Bacta spray, and then they take him into the sewers, and they're looking for the Mandos, and they eventually come across just a pile of Mando armor.
Well, when I saw that, I legitimately felt horribly sad.
Yeah, and they're like, but they didn't die. They just abandoned their armor and left. They scattered because they were stuck. They had to.
That means they broke their creed.
Yeah, but it was
It was that or
self-preservation.
Right.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, they broke their creed for self-preservation. When minutes before, he was about to uphold it
and die for it.
And die for it.
and
yeah.
dive right. That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
So the armorer is still there, the
Princess.
girl, the woman, and she's basically melting all the armor down for the metal to
I don't
keep
know what
it.
they called her.
The armorer, that's all her name was, the armorer. That's what she's done.
Yeah.
So she explains to them, because they're like, this kid's got this ability, we don't even know what it is. It's like, oh, Mandalore the Great fought with ancient wizards called Jedi who had these abilities. And she's basically painting them as villains.
Right.
And he's like, you now have got in charge of this kid. He's your foundling. You have to found. He's like, what do I do? Train him? He's like, no, you have to find his people. It's like, I have to go back to these evil wizards that we fought against. He's like, it's your job. That's what you have to do. So he's taken the charge of raising the kid until he can bring him back to his people. So they decide to, and she tells him how to get out. Oh, and also he gets his signet, which is the Mudhorn.
Right.
Right. Yeah. She gives it to him.
So the
Despite
kid,
it still being, a dishonorable
But it would-
death,
but
but it's like
because-
now it's because of the kid.
the kid is now your charge. It's now honorable.
Yeah.
So he gets his signet.
She says you're a clan of two.
Yes, exactly. And now he is basically your son, and you have to raise him until you can take him back to his people. So she tells him how to get out, tells him to go. There's the lava pits and everything, and they leave. And then comes the second most badass thing in this fucking episode, which is her taking out a fucking squadron of these stormtroopers with no weapon, just armory equipment,
Yeah.
which was
Well,
fucking.
one looked like an axe.
But at one point, she tosses one into the kiln,
Yeah.
and it just fucking melts.
Yeah, that was so
Hilarious.
cool.
Oh my god, it was great. And then they end up going into the lava pit, so they're trying to figure out how to. They're going to use the lava flow to get out. On their way out, he scans the area, sees that the troopers are waiting for him. That's when IG. Oh, and before he leaves, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Before he leaves, the armorer gives him the final piece of his armor,
Jetpack.
which is the jetpack.
Finally.
Yes. So they're leaving. IG-88. They see that their stormtroopers are blocking the entrance. That they're going to take them out as soon as they go through the entrance. IG-88 says, "Well, I'm going to sacrifice myself because I can't be captured. So I'm going to self-destruct,
Well, not only that, he said my sole purpose is to
protect you."
protect the child.
Yeah.
And he goes, and this is the only way.
Yeah. There's no way we're going to get.
He's
through
like, but
this.
you'll die. He goes, but I would have served my purpose.
Yes.
Right.
So he follows up on something from the first episode. He uses a self-destruct to save them all. They get away, and then as they're getting out of the lava pit, here comes the TIE fighter to shoot to kill them all.
Right.
That's when Mando puts the jetpack on, goes after it, uses some bombs that he had picked up while he was in the armory, destroys half of the TIE fighter, gets off, gets away, and then for some reason, this was the only thing I found really confusing. The end of the episode comes. I understand Grief staying, but I really don't understand why Cara, because she didn't even want to go in the first place, and now she's like, I'm just gonna hang out here. I was like, really?
For me, it wrapped up so quickly. It's like, he's the fire's still like the TIE fighter is still right there, still on fire.
They're like,
So,
he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. All right, well, bye. Credits. It's like, what the fuck? Like, have a conversation or something.
So he leaves with the kid, and they take off and go. And then you get the post. Well, it's not post credits, before the credits, but you get the post scene of Moff Gideon is still alive, and he cuts his way out of the TIE Fighter with the dark saber from Clone Wars.
Yep.
And that's where the episode ends. So he's got the dark saber, which is the only
We
one
don't
in
see it in
existence. Or maybe, was it Rebels?
You do see it in Rebels.
You do see
Okay.
Rebel. Okay, I thought.
Sabine's mom had it.
Yeah. So
Which
he's
is Duchess Satine.
So the dark saber, first time in real life.
Right.
He's got it now.
And it looks awesome.
It
in
looks
live action.
crazy. Yes, looks great. This leads me to a theory that I thought of, that I thought was interesting, that I thought maybe might work, was do you think Moff Gideon is a Inquisitor?
He's an Inquisitor?
A Sith Inquisitor. Or former Sith Inquisitor.
I would have to say former, because the Inquisitors that I know of never rose up ranks.
Here's my thinking. He's got that weird armor on, right? Which we've never seen on a Moff before. Moffs always are dressed
Like military. Right.
with the hats and everything. He's got that weird armor on. He's got the cape. He's got a lightsaber or a dark saber, whatever. But he knows how to use it because he knew to cut his way out. It's not something that he just picked up and was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to hang on to it. And he's after the kid. What if he's after the kid because he knows the kid has the connection to the Force?
Right.
He wants to duplicate the midichlorians in him to get. He somehow, after the Emperor fell, lost his connection to the Force for whatever reason, and he wants the kid to regain it again.
Okay.
This is the theory
I think you're getting a little muddier there towards the end.
That's a lot.
But him as an Inquisitor, to have survived Vader all these years, because Vader that we know of, he's killed all the Inquisitors off.
Right.
Prior to like A New Hope.
Right. There's no more Inquisitors after New Hope.
I mean, could explain why Moff why he's a Moff. Maybe was stripped of that title,
Maybe.
and maybe that's why he's lost the connection to the Force.
I think because you say the kid means more to me than you'll ever know.
Right.
Okay. The kid's main ability, the thing that they want, obviously, the main thing the kid's going to give is his connection to the Force.
Right.
Okay. So he's obviously got a knowledge of the Force, whereas nobody else does, because nobody knows what the fuck he's doing. He had to ask the fucking armorer, what is this? I think she explained what Jedi were to them. So he's got a knowledge of it, or at least a knowledge of the Force. So that's got to come from somewhere. And then that kind of compiled with everything else.
This is going, though. You getting this baby to drain the Force from him?
No.
That's how you get Force power?
What I'm saying
No,
is
but
they
the beginning,
want the
remember.
baby
Right.
because of the
The
bringing up the
midichlorians.
midichlorians. It's bringing up a bad subject, I realize, but
Right.
that they want
And an
the
old
baby.
subject, something that's been lost in this timeline. That history and
Or
lessons have been lost.
They want the baby to study his connection to the Force to figure out if they can have it.
No,
if there's a way to
Remember, they
duplicate
tell them if it wasn't for the doctor, they would have killed the baby already.
Yeah,
So they would have taken his midichlorians. They would have taken his blood and killed him. So
Yeah.
what were you going to do with that blood? I don't believe you could transfer the Force
Well, no,
just by
I
injecting
don't-
blood into you.
I don't either, but they don't know that. All they know is science. All they know is he's got a connection to
Right.
the Force. There's got to be an explanation for it. We could figure it out. All we need is the blood. We don't need the kit. So you got to think. You got to think. You're thinking too far ahead with your knowledge. They don't have that knowledge. They just have the knowledge that they've been given within the show.
remember, Joe, secrets of the dark side that we don't know.
Let me drink this blood. I'm going to become a Jedi.
But no,
Master.
you're thinking.
No, I get it, I
You're
get it.
thinking in one way when they're not thinking that way. They're thinking he has a connection. We don't know what it is. We have to study him, or we have to study what his connection is.
But if your guy was an Inquisitor, he would know the Force. He would know that that's not possible.
Right. So
why would he know that though? I mean,
He was an Inquisitor. He's a Force user.
he was a Force user.
Right.
Right,
But he would have known that there's no way. You're either born with the Force or you're not. There's no way to
Okay.
learn the. You cannot learn the Force if you don't have it.
Maybe he's thinking that there is.
remember,
When people
secrets-
are desperate, people think of a lot of crazy shit.
Sith secrets, man. We don't know.
Hey, look, it was just a theory.
No. I like it, but I don't like that they're trying to kill the kid. For his blood.
So that was the 2 episodes of
It was
Mandalorian.
great.
Great episodes.
One of
Sorry
my
to see it
favorites.
goes. Yeah.
My favorites besides the
the first one.
besides the first one, the one with Bill Burr. Fuck, what was that one called?
I don't
Oh,
remember.
oh, with the X-wings and stuff at the end. No, that was not Bill Burr. Sorry.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Where they-
yeah, with,
they-
with the prison.
Yeah, with the prison, with all the
The
directors.
Prisoner. That was called The Prisoner.
Right. Oh,
So-
the X-wing.
Because then the prisoner is Quinn, the
Yeah.
Twinnie?
Twi'lek.
Twi'lek.
So that was that show. Sorry to see it go. We're gonna get stuff before the end of the year, though. I believe. I think they said it's fall this year.
I think awesome. Bumpy in the middle, but overall great.
But okay, I think normal first season potholes.
It's better than a lot of other first seasons.
I will agree with that.
True.
But what I'm saying is every no first season, with the exception of maybe one here or there,
It's perfect.
is perfect.
Right.
No first season comes out of the gate a winner.
100%.
And I think this is just the same thing. I think this had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, more ups than downs.
I still like the downs.
But yeah, it depends on your level of how much you enjoy it. Yeah, the gunslinger was not a great episode. Terrible actor playing that part, but it's
And nothing from that comes back. Who was the person in the cape?
Not yet.
Not when, never comes back.
But we do know that Ming Na is coming back,
Right.
and if Ming Na's coming back, we're gonna find out who the guy in the cape is.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get stuff from that. It just seems like a real shitty way to introduce that character. It's like you could have done something more with that. You could have introduced her.
100%.
You could have introduced her in a prisoner. It probably would have made more
I
sense.
hope that guy doesn't get work ever again. That guy was
The
horrible.
Toro guy?
You know who he is, though. He's going to get work again because he's Bobby Cannavale's son.
Yeah. No,
Kind of
what makes
like-
me sad is I think my favorite, especially the action-heavy episodes, were directed by Deborah Chow, and she won't come back next season because she's going to be way too busy with the Obi-Wan
With
series.
Obi,
Yeah.
Obi's gonna be so good.
But
I liked-
knowing now, after seeing now Deborah Chow's chops in The Mandalorian
Oh, no.
Season 1, I am now 100% pumped for the
100%.
Obi-Wan series.
Same.
Because there is no way she does not, how do I word
She
this?
knows.
There's no way the Obi-Wan series is just Obi-Wan lounging on Tatooine.
No.
There is some side mission or something that will get him off that planet or not even get on that planet yet.
Well, here's the thing. If you thought that they were going to do a series about him lounging on Tatooine, you were crazy. There's no way.
Did you two ever
Right.
read Kenobi? The book? The graphic novel?
No, a long time ago.
You don't remember it?
No.
It was pretty good.
Well, he had his own novel.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That one.
You said graphic novel.
I'm sorry. Novel.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Sorry. It was
Um,
good. He was fighting gangs and stuff on Tatooine.
Cool.
So,
There should be a confrontation with Vader.
well, that was the rumor, was the fact that they're going to bring him back.
There has to be at least one
One,
confrontation with
right.
him for him to finally be like, Anakin is completely gone.
Well, they were saying they were going to bring him back for that, but they were also saying that you're going to get him back for the Cassian Andor one too.
Okay.
So
Would
I don't know why.
Would you want them?
because he was in the movie.
his connection with Qui-Gon. They
Well,
can touch that.
Yeah.
Him training to talk to Qui-Gon.
And that's one thing they definitely need to explain.
Right.
Because you just at the end of Return, well,
Sith.
especially by the end of Return of the Jedi, you assume that all Force users died, became one with the Force, and came back as Force Ghosts.
Right.
And then when the prequels came out, I was like, oh no, that never happened before. Qui-Gon figured it out.
Right.
Before Yoda.
But why did they? Well, Yoda hadn't died yet, so
Right. And it's like, wait, so how did Qui-Gon figure it out, but not,
Not
almost 900-year-old, well, at the time,
because he
little
hadn't
younger.
died yet.
Right, but just like, but how did Qui-Gon, like, and then in Clone Wars teaches us that Yoda
Bigger
has to
question is-
learn that before
the
he
bigger
dies.
question is, why
Qui-Gon.
would you limit it?
Right. And it's like,
Man.
what the fuck?
He's the ultimate Jedi, but he's gonna learn something from Qui-Gon.
Right. Well, whatever. We're already talking about, the movie plot holes that we're about to talk about.
Okay, so let's get into it. And I'm sorry, people, this is going to be a rough one.
It really is.
It's going to be a rough one. We saw Rise of the Jedi, or Rise of the Skywalker.
Rise of the Jedi is not wrong.
Why not?
Rise of the Skywalker. First off,
What I've been calling it, JJ Star Wars fanfic, Rise of Fan Service.
okay, so let's get off the bat. How do we feel about this movie?
He already said it.
We know how Kevin feels. He's
Kevin.
not happy.
The worst part, I loved it. As a Star Wars fan, I loved it.
Okay, so that's a good place to start from.
I cried 3 times. I
Yeah.
laughed throughout. I was shocked throughout. I liked a
I-
lot of the
I'm-
story things, but a lot of things I'm just like, wait, what? Why? And then by the end, I was just like, what was the point of all this?
Well,
And then,
I'm
other MacGuffins just felt like video gaming. And I was like, why? Why did we need the MacGuffins and all this stuff?
I'm the first to admit there are a lot of problems,
So I'm super mixed.
Same.
I'm super mixed, but emotional.
but I was entertained.
Yes.
I was emotional, and I got a lot of what I wanted out of it. I'm banging the table again, sorry. But I got a lot of what I wanted out of it. I got a lot of what I didn't want out of it, too. But at the same time, at the end of the thing, I wanted to see it again. I was happy.
Oh, I never want to see another Star Wars movie for some time. Any. Like, I can't get
That's
myself to
rough.
rewatch
See, I
it.
told you it was going to be rough, fella. I told you, gang. I told you it was going to be rough.
Wait, none of them? That's
And
six.
for some time,
Nine.
like, at least a year.
Dude, I
don't even want to watch any.
I went home and started watching all the Star Wars movies again.
No,
I was
thank
like,
you.
I'm excited. This is great. That's what I want from a Star Wars movie. Is I want a movie that makes me remember what I love about the series. So,
Yeah, because it gave you exactly the same thing.
yeah, it did. Like I cannot defend this movie.
Right.
There's no way for me to defend this movie.
Someone described it, and I thought it was perfect because it's another Star Wars fan. Someone said that this was cotton candy because you know how cotton candy is like it's kind of like weightless and like there's no substance and it just disappears in your mouth
Mm-hmm.
because there's no substance to it. It's like that's what it was. It was it's nice and sweet for like a moment, and then I was like, but then the moment is fleeting.
See, I disagree with some of that because this movie gave me feels
Of course.
Me
that
too.
I will remember.
Me
That I
too.
still remember.
You're right.
Okay.
But to me, the feels
But-
were manipulations because it was only fan service. Like it didn't make sense to the story at all. It only happened because fans wanted it.
No, I don't. What I'm talking about is the scene that made me ball up and start crying.
Let's talk about that then.
Okay, the scene that made me ball up and start
There was
crying.
one because for me it was 3.
Well, the scene though, look, watching this movie and then you get like there are 2 moments of this movie that I flat out am pissed at. Like there's probably more, but there are 2 scenes that like come off the top of my head that I can just
Can
go.
we start with that?
You want to start with that? I can start with that.
No, let's start happy because even
Okay.
I don't want to start mad.
Okay, so but the scene
And
that
plus, unfortunately, I
when
didn't
it
bring my
happened-
charger. My laptop will die soon.
the scene that I loved that made me cry, I was like, I wanted to get out of my seat and go, yes, when I started hearing the scene was the Han Solo scene. Okay. That's the scene to me when he said, "Hey kid." And I was like, what the fuck? And then the whole scene, which I will admit is the exact same conversation they had in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But what I liked about that being the exact conversation was it's from a completely different point of view.
Mm.
Okay. So in that scene in Force Awakens, you're watching it and you're going, where's he going to go? But you're leaning towards he's going to do something bad.
Yeah, he's
here.
going to be redeemed.
Yeah. But in this scene, it's just a father and a son just coming to terms and going, it's okay. Whatever you've done, it doesn't matter anymore. Which as you know, my father's still alive, you know, and I know, Joe, your father is not still alive. But,
That's what.
you know, I mean, I know that's why I got you. But for me, that's
Hard.
all. As a son, you know, that's all you want to hear from your father is
Right.
just the acceptance. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm proud of you, son. And that's all you want to hear. You know, so that scene to me was him saying, I'm proud of you. It's okay.
Yeah.
All you have to do is move forward. And I said, and then when he said, you know, I have to do something, but I don't know if I have the courage to do it. And he throws the lightsaber away. I was like,
Yeah.
that was my scene. I was
Yeah.
crying. I was like, yes, that's what I love.
That was one of
That
mine
was-
too.
that was my
But
scene.
it's funny because I wasn't crying then. I was already crying because it's when Ray heals him
Mhm.
after stabbing him in rage,
And then you get that one line, right?
and fixes him, and he's like, she's like, I did want your hand, but I wanted Ben.
That's so Ben's.
Broke me.
Yeah.
As soon as she, bros, there's something about knowing that Kylo Ren's real name is Ben Solo
Mhm.
kills me.
Yeah.
When I rewatched Force Awakens before this movie, and then you hear Han Solo scream out Ben and this agony,
Yeah.
it makes me cry again, man.
Mhm.
It's just so sad knowing that, bro, he is a child of a good side.
Yes.
And he really went evil and stayed evil for such a long time. And it took.
But it was all a grudge. It was all feeling betrayed.
Right,
by
and it's
his
sad.
person- by the one
And this is
person who was
why
supposed to
I
betray
actually,
him.
I'm actually against where a lot of people hate that, like, oh, she's a pop thing. It's like, you know what? That didn't irk me that much because I love them. Like, that's cool. She's the opposite. She's the yin and yang of Kylo.
Mhm.
She's a child of evil and choosing light.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm actually the first person to actually like that.
I like.
I think it was kind of cheap to have had Palpatine in the movie in the first place,
Mhm.
but I'm like, okay, fine. But that moment when she's like, I wanted Ben's hand, that's where I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this movie again. And I cried, and then the Han Solo time or whatever,
Mhm.
and then the ending when he then sacrifices
Right.
himself for her.
For her. Yes. See, and that to
Killed
me,
me.
and that's
And when she wakes up and smiles and says Ben, and something that I did not want a kiss. But when she comes back to life, says Ben, smiles, and they kiss,
Mhm.
I wanted to applaud them.
Mhm.
I was like, fuck you for making me care
about these two. Right?
about any moment in this
Yeah.
fucking movie that was already angering me. By
Mhm.
the end of this movie, I was already like, I was so mixed because it gave me moments I loved, but other moments
See,
I
that's
fucking hated.
That's the tough thing about this movie is like you watch it, you go, I like this, I like this, I like this. What was that? I like this.
Right.
Fuck, what was that? You know, and it's tough because I would say overall about 85% of this movie I'm down with. But it's just that last 20% that I'm like, why?
For me, it's more, and on top of that, it's ideological. I was like, I just don't like. I just don't like that. It's literally a direct response to fan cry, and it's literally an apology and a slap to the face to Last Jedi.
It is.
and
It
I
really
get
is.
that people hate it, but dude, I love that movie. I rewatched it again before, and Val and I literally had a discussion on that movie, and I'm like, you know what? I loved the movie more because it sparked a discussion between me and my wife.
Mhm.
You get me?
And
Force
we were-
Awakens didn't do that. It was more of the same.
I was talking to some friends of mine, and they were like, "Well, how would you rate this new trilogy?" And I said, "I would say Last Jedi was probably my number one." And they looked at me like I was crazy because they all hate Last Jedi, and not for the reasons that people are saying, "Oh, it ruined the series." They like the stuff that they did. They just they can't get past like the Canto bite scene. They can't. They just cannot.
100%.
You know,
But
and I can't either. I mean,
there's
it's a tough
stuff like that in anything.
Yeah. So, but for me, I'm looking at the trilogy. I'm going, I think Last Jedi, because it took it the furthest away. It made it something more. And I agree with you where I was like, I would like to have seen that continued. But in this movie, everything they gave us, there were some things you're like, did we really need that? Did we really need Palpatine
Right.
coming
Before
back?
we get to that, Joe, you have to give us your moment. Well, I know you cried a lot.
He said, "Son, I died."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to
died.
admit, I bawled like a bitch when Carrie Fisher
did.
died.
Yeah.
When Leia died
Oh, yeah,
on
me
screen
too. Yeah.
and
Holding the
R2,
medal.
oh my god, and R2 was, well, that's it. It
when
destroyed me.
When Chewie cried out.
Oh
when they,
my
yeah.
god.
That hurt.
I will say I was very happy that the Falcon did not get destroyed because I thought that was going to happen in this movie.
It almost did.
I know, but I was very happy that it made it, so I was very pleased with that. I thought Lando was completely wasted in this movie.
100%.
100%
Just that just screams fan service. It's just,
Wedge was.
well, but I liked Wedge though because it was only meant to be in that scene, to be in that just for that reason. There was no other reason for him than just to show up. So it wasn't like they they did shoehorn him in, but it wasn't like it was in the middle of something that, like, I'll give you a better example. Dominic Monaghan. The fuck was he doing in this movie?
No, all the lines that he said, the Rose Tico character could have said.
He took it from Rose.
Yeah.
And that's only because everybody hated Rose, and which is another answer to fans.
Right.
JJ came out all for Rose, and then
he
gave her dog shit.
Do shit with
he gave her dog shit to work with.
Yeah.
And I'm not a proponent. I'm like, oh, that was a great. No, I did not like that character, Last Jedi, either. But she's there. Use her. Why would you have to create another new white male character to say lines that she could have just said?
Yeah. And then they bring in the female former stormtrooper, which was like, okay, which if you read,
to me it was cool, but to me that equals the Canto Bight thing. To me, I'm like, I don't care. To me, it was cool. But at the same time, I was like,
all that stuff
care.
on the planet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just like, okay, cool. There's other stormtroopers that defect. Okay, so
what I liked about the scenes on that planet was actually what I liked was the music more than anything, because I love how it reminisced to Return of the Jedi. Yeah, and that's kind of what I liked the most about that. And then the fight at the end, obviously, that was really cool. But I will say that her fucking sailing on that boat to the thing, I was like, God, what the fuck is this?
How the fuck did the dagger?
And that was the other thing too.
I hated that.
How did you make the dagger?
To me,
like the wreckage, dude. The wreckage that happened.
To me, that is the most video gamey thing ever. On top of all the other, MacGuffins in this fucking movie with the Sith Wayfinder,
it's a fucking holocron, the fuck. But they made it a Waze.
Wayfinder.
Waze.
It's Waze.
It's Waze.
It's just Star Wars Waze.
Turn over here.
Go through this red stuff.
Go through the dark side.
And then they take you.
You know what that was, Joe? Because I know you're gonna hate me for bringing this up on a Star Wars review. That was a Star Wars Michael Bay thing. I I can't remember which one of them was it. The whole thing about like the primes having to block the key from like another version of Megatron or whatever the fuck.
Yes, that was horrible.
Right, and then because the only thing that could kill him was a prime, and I was like, but there's 5 primes blocking the key. 5 against 1, just fight them. Why would you have to sacrifice yourself for the key? Whatever. And that, to me, that whole thing with the dagger was exactly the same crap. I was like, what? Get the fuck out of here.
Were you pleased or were you upset by the Force lightning from Rey?
Oh, that got me upset.
That got you upset?
The moment it happened, everyone was like, and I was just like, okay, I get it. She's Palpatine's. I was like, she's Palpatine something. I say, at that point in the movie, you don't know yet. But I already knew. I'm like, she's Palpatine something. I got it. I didn't need the light.
She only did it once.
So then that scene immediately made me question more. And I'm like, was she that angry to release lightning? 1. 2, how did she learn that? I thought it took Sith years to learn that.
Okay, see, now this is something that I did want to touch on, which was really kind of stupid in the movie, but it does explain a lot. Remember how when we first started talking about, especially with The Force Awakens, we were talking about with Chad's brother, Kyle. And Kyle was really upset by the whole thing, like she knows too much.
Right, that she's OP for no reason.
Yeah, okay. So this movie introduced the whole reasoning for that with the dyad and the Force, the whole thing. And my takeaway from that is her and Ben Solo were just naturally gifted with the Force. So everything for them was kind of instinct. And they did need training to kind of hone it, but at the same time, things were learned. They knew how to do things because they were very powerful.
And that's where I hate the ideology of this movie, where you're only special because your family was special, and I fucking hated.
But I would think it deals more with the idea that they were born to be this separate, these two sides of the same coin type characters.
I get that.
Less to do with the family, more
the
to do with
poetry of that is what makes me like it. Mm-hmm. It's the message behind that where I completely I don't disagree with it. It's true.
No
In the
one-
real world, sometimes you only are special because you're born by nice, special family
Yeah.
and royalty, and it makes sense. I just don't want to see that in my movies.
So
I want escapism.
Luke in episode 6 choked out 2 pigs. No one questioned it. Obi-Wan or Yoda didn't teach him that.
He just
used,
choked out.
He used
things.
force choke and okay, but she shot lightning. Oh fuck this! She's
But-
too
but-
overpowering.
But that's why it's just like
no,
I'm not saying she's overpowering. I'm just like, was she that angry? I'm like, she was just
I think
holding up a transport. Yeah, that's cool, but
I
like,
think she was that
but
scared.
he's not like, oh, I was trying
she
to
was
push
staring
you.
at Red. I thought she was angry.
I think she was that scared. I think she was scared of losing Chewie and the emotions. That's
Well,
what
no,
it was.
right. I mean, she's mad because this guy's.
So
trying
I'm
to
glad you
take-
brought that up. I fucking hated that. I hated that this entire movie there are no sacrifices until Kylo.
Okay, I agree with
Because
that, yeah.
C-3PO's sacrifice and Chewie's
was negated.
sacrifices both were
Negated.
fucking in vain for no reason.
Well, here's the thing: this whole movie negates Anakin's sacrifice from Return of the
Right?
Jedi.
Because fucking Sidious is alive.
Yeah,
So, in fact, that's why I sent you guys that article in our group thing. Rise of Skywalker proves Last Jedi more correct. Because Luke is going through the depression of dealing with his flaws and his hubris.
Mhm.
Because he, and thus, redeeming Vader, having Vader be redeemed. In his hubris, he created Kylo.
Mhm.
He eventually, he basically created who is Kylo Ren in
There
this
was no
movie.
destruction.
Right. And then in this movie, it's utterly another failure to the Luke character because he ultimately did not finish what he did originally
Yeah.
in the original trilogy.
Well, somebody had come. I can't. I think I posted it to the chat as well. Somebody had said that it makes more sense and it's more believable if you have a character like Luke dealing with his emotions and his problems rather than have him come out the gate and be like this superhero type character.
Yes.
that's like a video game character.
Right.
It's like it's more believable that a guy with that much power, that much ability would probably turn inwards. Especially since he's the last one with that ability, and he had,
That's what he said. It's like he said it in The Last Jedi, and to me, that is the best scene of Last Jedi, and the best scene of this new trilogy, and the best acting I've ever seen Mark Hamill do. When he's teaching Rey, and he tells them he literally breaks down the Jedi Order, and he's like, in their hubris, in their height of their power,
they didn't see the dark side. Yeah, didn't see Darth
and he
Sidious
said,
rise.
and then in my hubris, I didn't see the dark side in my own nephew.
So, how did you feel about Luke being able to catch stuff as a ghost?
A lot of people it's funny how I know I'm hating on this movie because of like a lot of
Trust me,
corner of the
I got
fan
2
service.
seasons that coming up. Believe me.
Right, no, and I don't want to lump myself with the haters
No.
because they have their own gripes. I don't have those same gripes.
We've pretty much said that we have problems, and we're basically just
Yeah, but
airing our problems.
I'm
But at the same time, we're also saying
I'm on the tilted side. I just don't tilt me on the same other tilters
yeah.
because people are also having a problem. People are having a problem that she's a Palpatine. I don't have that much of a problem with it.
Mhm.
I just don't like what it means overall in the movie.
Yeah.
But as her identity, fine, cool.
Mhm.
I like what it means. It's poetic.
Poetic.
Another thing that people actually hated was what was it you're getting at?
Him being able to grab stuff as a Force ghost.
Right. People are like, all of a sudden he could do that with her. Sense of New Hope. Sense of New Hope. Every single Star Wars movie, we and the characters have learned more about the Force.
Mhm.
There have been more powers learned through each subsequent film.
Obi-Wan sat on a tree trunk.
Right. Yoda shot fucking lightning.
Yeah. See, that was why I didn't have a problem with it.
Whatever.
Lightning. He called
Catching
lightning
an
from the
object
sky.
because it's probably easy. I mean, Patrick Swayze did it in Ghost.
He was very emotional at
He was
the time.
making clay.
What are you doing?
So I didn't have a problem with it.
I
Now,
don't either.
what was the problem with that scene? The big fucking middle finger to Last Jedi. Oh, that's not a way to treat a Jedi weapon.
Yeah.
Bro, I get it, man. I get it, JJ. Fucking move on, man. Make a movie.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. That's
So-
what that was my problem. That was my problem with this movie. It's 3 movies in one. It's JJ's apology. It's the fan service because it's what fans wanted Last Jedi to be, and then it's JJ's Star Wars Episode 8 and 9. Because there's so much, bro. There's a lot of shit in this fucking movie.
Yeah, it's too.
The heavy lifting in the crawl alone the dead speak, Sidious is back, this and that, all this crazy. I was like, yo, how much shit happened in just like what months, 6 months or something?
I think they said it was 2 years or something.
Nah, it was not 2 years. You have to be thinking New Hope and Empire. Because it's not, Empire and Return of a Jedi. It's not 2 years. It's only months.
So I actually was very happy. One of the scenes I really enjoyed in this film, and I might be the minority, I don't know, but I really enjoyed learning that Leia had a lightsaber and that she trained to be a Jedi, but she saw that her becoming a Jedi would lead to the death of her son, so she decided from that point on she was not going to do that. I liked that. I thought that explained how she had her abilities, but at the same time, it didn't feel pushed into the movie for me.
He said the last day of her training, so she was fully trained?
She was trained.
Fully trained.
But she didn't go on to she didn't confront the evil, to confront her fear to become a Jedi. She didn't go actually, and that would have been what she had to confront.
Right, to be
would have
Jedi
been
Knight.
Would be to accept the fact that her becoming a Jedi Knight would lead to the death of her son. She chose not to do that, and then she moved away from becoming a Jedi.
To me, that was just another example of fan service. It's like, we didn't need it. It didn't do anything to the story.
Because in the books and
Ben
everything
still
else,
dies.
she never became a Jedi.
All right, but I'm just saying.
No, in the book she became a Jedi.
Fans wanted an explanation.
she did.
Fans wanted an explanation of how is Leia force sensitive and other powers, and Luke never trained her. We see that yes, he in fact trained her. Whatever. She stopped because it would lead to the death of her son. He still died.
I agree that it's fan service, but at the same time, I like it.
Again,
it's fan service that I like.
But I only like it because I'm a fan. If I look at this movie objectively, it's a fucking mess.
Oh, totally. People who aren't fans.
It's fanfic.
First of all, people who aren't fans.
Joe, it's fanfic. This is high budget.
Right.
This is a $300 million Disney approved fanfic.
People who go see this movie who aren't fans, I don't know what they're thinking, because obviously they're missing a whole lot.
Right.
Jeff would agree. Remember, Jeff's not a Star Wars fan.
He's not?
No.
Damn, it would have been interesting to have him on here.
Yeah.
He's not as hardcore as we are.
But I thought he posted he liked it.
He liked it.
But you know what's
he was
sad?
insane.
I've never been hardcore to the movies. Well, maybe hardcore was the comics and in Clone Wars.
Right.
That's what got me really into the lore, not the movies.
Wow.
And then because of that,
I read all the books.
Since it informed the movies more, I enjoyed rewatching the movies more.
I've been watching the movies since I was a kid. So
Same.
this has been my life.
I didn't have anyone pushing that on me.
But I read
that was something I self-discovered.
Everything that Timothy Zahn wrote, I read. So,
Damn.
So for me, this has been my life since I was a kid. So, and that's one of the things I wanted to bring up. If this conversation went a different way, I was going to say, the one thing for me you need to understand is that when I was a kid, I was born 10 years before you were. So when I was a kid, I was born after New Hope. I was a baby during Empire, and I was a toddler during Return of the Jedi. But by the time I was 6, I had seen all of those movies
multiple times,
and knew them by heart, and
Nice.
could watch them forwards and backwards, knew everything about them. But see, what I wanted to illustrate was that was all you got. Was just those 3 movies and then toys.
So for you, the saga has ended 3 times now.
Pretty much. But what I'm saying is, as a kid, all I wanted was more Star Wars.
Right.
It's not like now, because you were born, 89? So 93, 94, that's when the special editions started, or 95, started coming out. It was about the time you would have probably been coherent
the
about
gold VHS.
So, but even in the theaters, though. So Star Wars was in the theaters again, and Star Wars was everywhere.
That's where I got introduced to
Okay,
it.
and then all of a sudden, right after that, a couple of years later, you got Episode 1. So pretty much in your lifetime, Star Wars has been everywhere.
Right. So Star Wars has always been a thing.
Yes. For me, it was those 3 movies.
It became the thing since the acquisition.
Yeah.
Right.
See, for me, it was those 3 movies, and then toys, and then
That's it.
nothing. Nothing. So as a kid, I ever wanted was more Star Wars.
Right.
That's why when everybody complains about the Disney acquisition and goes, they're ruining and stuff, I go, you guys are fucking insane. Because what they have done is they've given me a childhood dream.
Right.
More Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I'm not in the vein of it ruining it.
No, I'm not saying that. But I was just trying to illustrate.
I think it's the franchise has become an Ouroboros. It's become about
eating itself.
Yeah, it's become about a mythology. And then now the mythology has literally imploded onto itself because now all it's done it's just repeated itself. We're like, oh, again, I don't like saying what the haters say, like, oh, The Force Awakens is exactly like A New Hope.
Mhm.
It is, but it's like a remix. There is new stuff going in,
yeah.
and there's a cool
Honestly,
new direction. We get the new direction in Last Jedi. And then this is only because people did not like the new direction. So we gave us more of the... Right, I know. And I'm with you. But that's where it's like... mainly, I'm only hating that the franchise became a response to its own fans.
And I agree with that.
I don't like
That's
that.
what sucks.
We didn't have a plan. Kathleen Kennedy did not have a plan.
100%.
She did not. I don't like that.
100%. Dude, and I'm going to say this right now on the air and on record and in front of you. I love Ryan Johnson. I love Ryan Johnson's Last Jedi. I think Last Jedi is incredible. But fuck him for giving me that movie.
Hey.
Tell me,
more.
if he never did that, and we just got another cool movie that, let's say, even if it reflected Empire, I would have taken that spoonful of baby food and chowed it down, and I would have been content, and I would have joined you guys with all the fan theories for another 2 years.
Now, here's the thing, though.
And then this movie, I would have been like, yes, fine, cool.
But
because we got the new direction, we got a taste of something different. I wanted
Because there was no
new.
direction.
I wanted more.
And I'm going to say that right there is why I'm glad we got that movie, because if we hadn't, these three movies would be just another prequel trilogy.
Yeah,
Right.
You know, and I'm sorry, those prequel movies, those prequel movies make these movies look like Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
I mean, these are real movies.
Yeah.
Those movies are just fucking somebody playing around in a sandbox.
The only sad
George.
thing is of the prequels is like it just gave us more lore that we all wanted, but the story was just bad.
Give
Yeah.
us emo Anakin.
Yeah,
Ugh.
So I'm just saying, I'm glad for what we got. You know,
No,
I
same.
liked Chewbacca getting the medal because
Same.
that was a big thing for
It's
a
just,
lot
I
of
don't
people.
like the shit is
fan
how-
service because there was no reason for that either.
Yeah, but
I'm like, why is she giving him a medal?
Because
it
he
took me a
didn't get
while. I'm
one.
like, oh yes, he didn't get one in A New Hope.
Yeah,
But look at the symbolism of why she died with it. I stole this from Kevin Smith.
Mm.
Of what?
Kevin Smith came up with it.
Of what?
She died with the medal, holding the medal, because she's remembering that Han Solo. The Han Solo who saved her rebellion.
I got you.
Who came back and saved Luke from getting eviscerated
Yeah.
from Vader.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for Han Solo, Luke would have died.
Right.
Vader would have killed him.
Mm-hmm.
The Death Star would have destroyed Yavin, and we wouldn't have any more movies.
So it's funny we never because again I
So
think
she's remembering that guy.
I think another thing that equals the whole Cantabite, debacle in Last Jedi is I already forgot the name of that fucking planet. The planet was Zoe.
Zori Bliss.
Right, the planet. that
Yeah, I
she
know
was
what you're
on.
trying to talk
That
about.
entire planet. I'm like, what's the point? Why are we here?
Actually, you were there for the little guy because that's what everybody
right,
loves.
that was the best thing, and I have to admit, Baba Frick is Babu
hilarious.
Frick is
It's hilarious.
fucking awesome.
He was hilarious.
Val and I kept quoting him, but at the same time, I was like, what was the point of that planet? What was the point of Zoe? And then Zoe wanted to kill Poe,
And then all of a sudden flipped.
in literally a span of 5 minutes in
Yeah.
2 scenes.
Yeah, that was bad.
Just Ray beat her up.
And I was like, what the fuck? Just for us to get more backstory on Poe? And I'm like, that's cool, but I could have just gotten that in the Poe comic. I didn't need that
We
in
had
the
the whole
movie.
comic.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, we didn't need that.
So actually, as I think about it, 3 cringeworthy scenes in this movie.
Please tell me the ending.
Yeah. They're all in the third act. 2 of them are the Marvel moments. I call them the Marvel moments because they were stolen directly from Endgame. Directly from Endgame.
I think I know which one.
The one that I'll get to another one. The one that gets me, and I had to be told this one because it didn't occur to me until somebody explained it to me, and that's like I can't unsee it. Is we're all lost, nobody's coming, and then Lando comes over. It's like, but we're all here, Poe, and it's like that's direct. That's the exact same scene from Endgame on your left.
Yeah.
That's exactly, and it's not even earned because at least Falcon showing up. He's like, oh, my friend from 7 other movies.
Right.
Lando, I met, 20 minutes ago and had a 2-minute conversation with, and
Exactly.
now his voice coming out of the thing is supposed to mean something to me?
Right.
Okay? So that one. But what made me
I did get that one.
But even more so, and when it happened, I immediately thought of you because I knew you were going to look at the scene and go, oh, that's fucking terrible, was the I am all the Jedi. And he fucking pulls out because that is exactly almost word for word.
The
and
I am Iron Man.
am Iron Man. And I'm just like, why, JJ? Why did you steal? Why would you do that?
The worst part, I loved that moment when she envisions all of the Jedi.
No, that I liked.
Yeah, he's just
Beautiful.
I just don't like the whole line reading at the end.
And to me, even that moment is stolen. It's stolen from The Last Airbender.
Yes,
When
yes,
Aang,
yes.
when,
and he hears all the other avatars. You're
yes.
right.
And to
My
me, I was
whole thing
fine
was-
with it. But when she said that line, it's just so bad.
Mhm.
I'm like, you took lightning before. You were fine. Why'd you eviscerate now?
Yeah, right. Ugh.
I was like, what happened?
But
I
then-
want to push back on you
What?
on your left. Luke, here's Han Solo over the PAA. I'm here for you, kid. Let's blow this thing and go home.
yes, but it doesn't mimic that scene.
It has to mimic that scene.
No,
I'm here.
because
Luke
it was
by
just
himself.
Han Solo.
No.
It was just
But-
Han Solo
but-
coming back. Whereas this guy, he's got a whole fleet of ships.
Right, but that's
Just like at the end of Endgame, he's got everybody that ever was slapped away. It's
And
just
the only
it mimics that
connection the
same
characters
lore.
have is through fan service. It's only because the fans
what
care.
But
connection
they're-
did Han and Luke have?
They had a
That's
whole
the
movie.
whole movie.
They had to spend the whole movie together.
20 minutes of screen time together?
No,
the whole
He
movie.
took his Luke, for as far as Luke knows, he took his money and left.
Yes, but he still, he
Right?
still had that heart to heart with him at the end there, where
He
even.
still took his money and left.
But he still took but then Luke still had the heart to heart with Han Solo at the end, where basically, and Han was like telling him, "Look, why don't you come with us? You're good."
Right.
You know,
I'm a pirate. I'm here for the money. Let's get out of here.
Yes, but what he's saying is there was a connection there. All right, Han coming back and saying to Luke that he was saying, "Look, you seem like a good guy. Why don't you come with us and not die out there?" And he's like, "No. I believe in something more than
And I
just
wanna die
myself."
out there.
And that's what Han Solo took from that. The thing with Lando Calrissian is Lando's like through the whole movie, like,
Yeah.
I'm not a pilot. I'm not really good at this. And he basically has to be pushed onto the Himalayan Falcon. Go, motherfucker. Go do something. Because if I have to, I'm going to have the Wookiee drag your ass in there and go fucking help us. And then when he shows up at the end of the movie, it's like, but we're all here, Poe. Poe is supposed to take some kind of solace from that from a guy he barely knows.
Right.
It would have been better if Chewie came over the thing and said, rah, 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 rah. Because at least then you're going, well, he has a connection with that person. He's
Right.
hearing the voice of his friend.
You're right there.
You know?
I would have liked to.
And then the other thing was when Emperor when Palpatine shoots the mega lightning out of his hands,
That was horrible.
and I'm just like, oh.
And all
To
the
me, it was
ships
a Marvel problem of like, oh, the big blue light in the sky.
Yeah,
But this is the red version.
the ships were just floating,
Yeah.
and then we jump back on. Oh, okay, what?
But I just love how like, and it's a funny gripe, but it's apparently a gripe that a lot of people have. I'm like, who are those acolytes?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Where did they come from?
where did they come? Like, what is the logistics of all these
I was
people
like,
just
is this
hanging
a
out
soccer
there?
stadium?
And then
Yeah.
on a planet which has got the worst name ever created,
Oh, yeah.
Exegol.
Exegol.
Yeah, testicle.
The only thing I
Testicle.
liked about the planet was that it.
And then the final order, I'm just like, ew.
Yeah.
Dude, you went full video game.
The only thing I liked about the planet was it mimicked the same planet that Ahsoka and Vader were on,
Yes,
with the lightning and everything, where
Yes,
they fought.
Yes,
You
It
know,
has to be in
remember
Rebels.
and yeah,
In Rebels, I'm behind. I'm
Oh, okay.
still season 1
that?
Rebels.
Well, in the you're still season 1 Rebels.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jeez.
In Rebels,
Because remember, they took it off Disney XD
yeah.
For fucking years, for
Well,
a while.
Now it's
Eventually,
And
you're
then
gonna
also
get.
Disney
Eventually,
Plus.
you're gonna get to this. Ahsoka and Vader fight. On
No,
a planet.
I only know now because it's been so long, so it's been
Yeah.
spoiled for me.
And then the planet, it kind of mimics with the
It
lightning
does.
and everything
It
on the
does.
planet. It really mimics that.
I have to admit, I cried when I heard Ahsoka's voice
Yes.
in Rey's head.
But it was all those people too.
And Kanan, I recognized Kanan.
Kanan, Qui-Gon was
Yeah.
there. Obi-Wan was there.
Right.
You know, all of them were there.
Obi-Wan twice.
And then,
Old
I mean,
and-
and
Right, that's right. We did hear Alex
Alec
Guinness.
Alec Guinness.
So you got all that. You've got this movie, and then you get that ending.
Before that,
that?
just that ad lib of just like the wavy of the hands explanation of like, oh, Snoke was one of mine, and you see the tub of Snokes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I was like, but then why did you have that beat up Snoke in Last Jedi? Like he's all scarred. He's like his head looks like it's like indented inward.
I think it was
And
part
like-
of the theater.
It's like just remake him. If you could just redo him, just fucking do him. Redo him.
I think it
What's
was.
the point?
I think that's how he was created, to be that visage to kind of sell the character to Ben Solo.
True. I did like that when he's like, "Oh, I've been the voice you've been hearing in your head the whole time,"
Mhm.
and it switches between Snoke,
Ah.
Vader,
Mhm.
and Sidious.
Yeah,
But I like how to me, it implies that in Force Awakens, when he's talking to the helmet, he's hearing a voice talking.
Mhm.
We just don't hear it.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, there's so much to like in this movie that it complements the previous two, including Last Jedi. It complements both movies. But then other points, I'm just like, why are we doing this? Because it feels like JJ's trying to fill 2 movies worth of plot in one movie.
Basically, it seems like JJ was handed, and said, "Look, fix this. Make people like us again."
Right, but he went almost too above and beyond to fix it. He literally went like, I didn't like that toy. I'm gonna remake it my way. But why?
I don't think
You didn't need to do some of those things.
I don't feel malice in this. I feel a lot of like, look, I just need to end this to make people happy. So I'm going to change the things that people had a problem with.
But then you just skip crap. Like, Sidious coming back. The dead talking. How the fuck long Luke and Leia knew that she was a Palpatine?
Yeah,
They literally said they knew. How the fuck did they know? And then the co-writer, surprise, surprise, the BVS writer, Chris Terrio, did the script for Rise of Skywalker.
Wait, okay, first of all, hang on a second. If you're going to quote the guy as a writer, don't quote his worst movie, okay? Quote his best movie.
Argo?
Argo.
At least that one he co-wrote with Ben Affleck. But this
then again,
one,
at the same time, he co-wrote BVS.
But I'm going to quote Chris Terrio because he was adamantly asked, when the fuck did Luke Skywalker know she was a Palpatine? And he said, we leave it up to the audience's imagination.
Which, in other words,
when you gave us answers that we didn't give a fuck about, but you gave us a question that we wanted an answer now?
Because in Last Jedi, he was shocked to see that she went to the dark. So if
Yes.
he knew that she was a Palpatine, he
Right.
wouldn't be
So
shocked.
it's like, okay, maybe he found out after that?
Right.
But
But when?
He died.
But what I do like is that, in a way, this movie explains, sort of, I guess, it depends on how you look at it, a scene from The Last Jedi that I never understood, which is when she goes into that dark pit,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see all of her going one way and then all of her going another way.
It's her past and future.
Yeah, but it also kind of represents the Jedi, too. Like, she has all the Jedi behind her, and then she's the future of the Jedi. as well.
Oh, I took it as it's her path. Like what lied before her was
right. Well, it could be both.
her on Jakku,
Okay.
and then what's in front of her is no matter what, it's your path to choose. Which ultimately, it's still somewhat the theme of Rise of Skywalker. She still needed to choose her own path, despite her legacy.
Mhm.
Which is, again, I still like. I still dug.
So do you like it?
But then now it brings up more questions. So her dad was Palpatine's son.
Son.
Why wasn't he powerful?
Right. Right.
Why did Sidious kill his son to get to his granddaughter?
Because they
Why?
had no connection to the Force and she did.
But why?
There's no way.
What's the point? If okay,
The
let's
Force
think of
chooses
it
who the Force
logically.
chooses.
If his son's byproduct has a connection to the Force, why not just keep telling his son, "Hey, son, keep giving me more connections to the Force. Have another baby, and he'll be another connection to the Force." I didn't get it. I didn't understand what was the point of killing off your
I
son.
feel a lot like Ego in Ghostbusters. I need this baby. Yeah.
Vigo. Oh, sorry.
Vigo. I need this baby to be reborn.
It's like, why? and then now it brings up another question: when the fuck did he have a kid?
Yeah, he was deformed ever since episode 3.
And how did he come back? That's what.
And the
pisses
guy
me off.
looked young.
Hey, okay. Now, the one thing I will say about him having a kid and being deformed is
Money.
this is gonna. Yeah, it's sometimes it don't matter.
That's true.
Power pulls people in.
When she was,
I remember asking my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. We were watching The Sopranos, and I was like, "How the fuck does Tony Soprano pull down all this ass?" And I'm like, "Look at the motherfucker. He is not the. I mean, granted, I'm no catch, but I'm like,
Same.
this motherfucker is fucking hideous. How does he pull down all? And it's not even cheap ass. It's good ass. How does he pull down all this ass?" And my wife, she turned to me and she said, "Look, it's the confidence and the money. It's like if you come in and you've got the confidence and the power." That says a lot to some women. I'm like, oh, okay. So that is always, I've always taken that away whenever I see weird men with beautiful women. I'm like, they must have something that's
a charm, confidence,
Yeah.
or power.
Yeah.
But it still does not answer the question.
No, it doesn't. I just
why didn't the son have power? That's it.
He looked young too.
And then people having problems with their Force connection. I'm like, okay, if we do the math, Snoke says, "I'm the one that gave you this connection."
Which
Okay,
is
so that
Skype
means
call.
which
so
is
that
really Palpatine.
right.
Force
So it's really Palpatine. But then at the end, he says, "Your connection has never been seen before in thousands of generations. I'm not gonna take what makes you special." And I was just sitting there. I'm like, I thought you gave him that connection. Why did you just say that? That makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, I just
Yeah, no, yeah.
I can't do nothing with that one.
Good job.
I will say,
I just hated the entire sequence.
No.
You brought it up, Justin.
No, I didn't.
I hated that sequence. The dialogue was awful. Everything, nothing made fucking sense.
No.
The acolytes just random hoods just cheering. I was just like, this is like a clan rally. This is
weird.
fucking weird.
It is weird. What I will say is at the beginning with the whole during the Skype call, the switching of items.
The FaceTime?
Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
How fucking cool!
Yeah,
I'm so happy JJ added to something from Last Jedi that JJ gave us.
But it gave
Ryan gave us.
but it also gave me a scene that I absolutely love, which is her facing off against Palpatine, then taking the lightsaber, and then him pulling it out, and then giving the Han Solo shrug of
Yeah. Yeah, that was
another scene where I was like,
there was a
tears of
Michael
joy.
Bay scene where the Knights of Red looked like we were just standing on a rock. It was like a helicopter.
Bro.
I was like, is this Michael Bay directing this right now? Is this Transformers?
So hold on, I want to get to the Knights of Ren.
They were fucking under.
do we have to?
They were fucking shit.
Apparently, JJ never got around to them either.
Yeah, really. Somebody
They
told him
felt
there was
such
a
an
comic book,
afterthought.
and he said,
No,
"No,
but
no,
not
go there."
even Ryan got to them either. So
Whatever.
nobody got to them.
But that scene with the whole like transference of an object through their like vision thing, I thought was fucking brilliant.
It was.
Because again, we have seen every movie. We learn more about the Force in every movie. How awesome that we get a brand new thing in the previous movie, and it's literally advanced in the next. That's fucking incredible to me. That scene gave me fucking goosebumps, and that's where I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of back in on this. But then, of course, the whole Palpatine took me out. But again, it's almost funny how the redeeming thing of this movie is just Rey and Kylo. If I just had more of them, I would have loved this entire trilogy so much more.
Would you have rather they went off together than him die, or were you pleased that he died?
I'm okay that I'm okay. Like how George Lucas said, poetry rhymes of him being redeemed upon his death and then dying, I'm okay with. If they would have been happily ever after, even I would have been like, fuck you, Disney.
See, I wanted...
I'm okay that he died. It's the only sacrifice. The only sacrifice that actually has a payoff in this movie.
Okay.
You got me?
Yeah,
I'm tired of people
Because
saying
again,
there was no payoff.
the Chewbacca thing and the C-3PO thing really pissed me off. You get me? One last look at my friends.
And then he gets...
And then
he
he just has a fucking backup in R2D2. What the fuck?
R2 has his backup.
Bro, and then
But here's the thing. I will say this.
R2D2 killed it this movie. I have to admit, he was fucking incredible this movie. R2D2, C-3PO.
Mm-hmm.
He was so fucking funny.
Mm-hmm. I will say...
Babu Frick, that's my longest friend. My oldest friend.
My oldest friend, yeah. What I will say, and this goes against your thing with the Chewbacca, though, about him dying, was Chewbacca is the only main character in the books that died. Everybody else lived of the main story.
Right.
It's funny.
In these movies, everybody else dies but Chewbacca.
Right, because in the old canon, he gets hit by a moon.
Yeah.
A whole moon.
That was the beginning of the Yuuzhan Vong War.
Right. That was dumb.
Was saving Anakin Solo.
I thought it was Jen.
No, Anakin Solo.
Right, they got on. Right, they got onto the Falcon. Right. And he ran out to get him. Yeah.
So to Joe's point, how wasted the fucking Knights of Ren were.
No, it looked like they were a boy band. They were his boy band. They were his backup.
No, they were Slipknot.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
They were Slipknot.
And then him.
And they were not even the main core Slipknot. They were the extra members. You know, the DJ and the random pinhead guy that just headbangs and doesn't do anything.
And you want to talk about fuck yous to Rian Johnson, putting him back in the mask like that for seemingly no reason.
To add to that, I think it was only in service of, which again also doesn't make any sense, of when Sidious tells him like, you are now servant of mine and whatever. I think it was him showing loyalty to Sidious and of the Sith. Mm-hmm. That's how I took it. But then being reminded that, wait, but Sidious is Snoke, and Snoke told him take that ridiculous thing off.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck?
These
These contradictions are just like it's making my head it gave me a headache.
That was the thing for me was the fact that by him destroying that mask in Last Jedi, it was like, he's trying to emulate. Yeah, he's trying to emulate Vader, and they're saying, no, you're so much more than that. Stop trying to be like something you're not. And then in this one, it's like, let's put it all back on.
But that's why it was Last Jedi. Hey, here's a bold new direction, and then Rise of Skywalker is like, but remember the past.
I rolled when he was putting the mask, and then I rolled harder when I was like, is that a chimp putting his mask together?
I was like, I saw the same thing. I was like, wait, when did we get the Planet of the Apes?
Yes, I was like, is that Caesar? I'm like, did they bring back Andy Serkis? That's funny.
Yeah. Did anybody catch that the character?
But I'm sorry, to your point on the helmet, I'm glad he actually doesn't wear it a lot of the movie.
No, he doesn't. Did anybody catch at the beginning of the movie the character that they go to meet that tells that they plug in?
Yeah, I know who that is.
That's Mark Hamill as the voice of that character.
That's funny. And then he dies.
He gets his head cut off.
Which we didn't even talk about how fucking Hux was a spy and then gets killed.
Well, Hux is the spy only to fuck Kylo Ren.
Right, because
he's like, I don't really care if you
only because he was, and I have to admit, he was mistreated in Last Jedi.
Oh yeah,
he was a fucking.
He's got a legit reason.
Yeah,
it's just
he was a buffoon
reason.
in Last Jedi.
But here's the thing: then you get the other character. You get Richard E. Grant's character, who is set up to be the spy. Like, oh, you're thinking this is the spy, and then oh no, and then he has that line. He's like, "As I served you before, I served you." And I'm like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Hey, I have to admit that Tariff Pride, no, what was it? Something Pride. His last name was Pride. Okay. And I was like, that's a fucking cool Star Wars, general name. Okay. I'm like, I actually would have preferred you than Hux.
Yeah, he would have been better.
It would have been cool, but speaking of character arcs, from Last Jedi to now, I thought Poe's arc, this trilogy, was fucking awesome.
I like this
from becoming a reluctant, flyboy to now being a leader, a reluctant leader, but a leader nonetheless.
Well, again, for me, I still don't understand what the fuck Finn was doing in these movies, except to sit there and cry over Rey, because that's all he ever did.
So something you guys have to remember that from, and it's funny how long we've been podcasting together. We've podcasted since before Force Awakens,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all kind of remember our feelings. And I remember saying that, like, Finn fucking is a nothing character, and I have no idea what they're gonna do with that.
I always hated that character.
In Last Jedi, the worst part was, like, I didn't hate him. It's a cool idea of a defecting stormtrooper, but
it's wasted.
But it's wasted in the sense of like, what then? What do you do now?
And he doesn't do anything.
Right. I wholeheartedly believe he should have died in Last Jedi.
I would have preferred
what he was about to do, sacrifice himself for the rebellion. He should have died.
Yeah.
He should have died, because then in this movie, he's given fucking nothing to do.
Nothing.
Except scream at Rey.
Right. And then meet other stormtrooper defectors. Like, what are you going to do, start a fucking club?
And then Mark Bernardin, when he was reviewing it with Kevin Smith, he said there were some lines that should have been added. Like all the stormtroopers on that one planet. And they're like, "Oh, we just dropped our weapons and we stopped doing it." And you're like,
it was an instinct.
Yeah, it was an instinct, and that's where it stopped. It was like if they had added one more line of dialogue, and if they had said, "Because we heard about you, Finn," would have made it so much better. Because at least there would have been a legacy to the character.
Yes. Oh my. Yes. I'm sorry. If that one line, I would have not even be complaining right now.
Right. Yeah.
If it meant that he was a spark of hope.
Yes.
Fuck yes.
Yeah. That would have been awesome. Your story. We did the same thing as you. We defected.
We heard about you.
No, he was just like,
it didn't go that far.
It was a feeling? Oh, you had a feeling?
And the whole idea that they kept asking, oh, well, what did he have to tell Rey?
Right, it was just that he's force sensitive.
He's force sensitive.
And I was like, okay.
And nothing going to come from him. We're not going to see him again.
And if we were to believe literally the entire fucking saga, technically all things have a force sensitivity. It's just different levels.
Yeah. That's true. Because
just some people tap into it more than others.
Correct. Would it have been bad as fuck if it was a fleet of stormtroopers? If Admiral Thrawn was the one in charge of all those fucking Star Destroyers?
I think it would have been cool because it was in the unknown regions, and that's where Thrawn went to.
Right, and there's no Admiral. It was fucking generals.
Thrawn died. I thought Thrawn
was
killed.
Not in canon.
No, he didn't.
Not in canon? Okay.
Not in canon.
He's alive. It would have been dope. Admiral Thrawn, instead of fucking this jackass that dies in a window. He gets splattered.
Yeah, but then they would have had to have killed off Thrawn, and I would.
That is true.
I'll give the planet Exoball.
Sure.
Exobel?
Exegol.
Exegol. Jesus.
Exegll.
Exegol. I'll give it the design is fucking awesome.
Yes, I agree. I like the lightning and all the stuff and the giant monolith fucking building. I love that.
I thought it was
great.
so cool because we haven't seen anything interesting planet-wise since Last Jedi, since the Salt Planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. But we literally have seen the same snow planet, desert planet, forest planet, kind of an aquatic planet. That's it. We see the same like 4 elements, and they're all on Earth. It's like, bro, really a galaxy far, far away, all the planets are just the same 4 or 5 different elementals.
That's all we know.
Right, and then like in crates, at least in Last Jedi, it's like a salt planet. That's cool. What the fuck? And then under it is red. I'm like, what a cool design. And no, we don't get nothing interesting in this movie. But I thought Exobot was cool. A fucking lightning planet where like
that strikes nothing.
Right, but like you could clearly tell like gravity was something was off about the gravity. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't put my finger on what it was.
I don't know. He jumped down that hole and got hurt when he hit the fucking rock. So.
I thought it was so cool. But then, I don't know, it solidifies that because the planets on Mandalorian are significantly much more interesting. After this movie, I'm done with fucking Star Wars movies.
I hated...
I just want more. I just give me more Mandalorian and more TV shows.
I hated that the fleet needed a thing to get off to start leaving. So you need a navigational radar so you can go
again,
somewhere.
it's another plot device. JJ loves his MacGuffins.
To get Poe to do something. Go blow up that radar. Why?
No. Get Finn something.
Yeah,
yeah.
Essentially, if you would have removed that character from this entire trilogy, it would have been way more interesting because you would have gotten more Rey, more Kylo, and more Poe.
I'm right with it, right? The Star Destroyers couldn't go anywhere without that stupid thing to
navigate.
navigate.
They couldn't get out of the atmosphere without having to be directed out. But they did establish that the atmosphere that they're in is really hard to navigate because remember they needed the Wayfinder to get through it.
You mean the Sith holocron?
Yeah. But they needed that. They needed that to get through it. So they did establish that the area
and then
they're
they
in.
plugged it into the TIE Fighter. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that was a little weird. And then she burns the TIE Fighter, but somehow that survives. Like, I made it. It's fine.
Whatever. We kind of have to end it here before my laptop dies. But I don't want to end on a sour note. I absolutely hated the I am Rey fucking Skywalker line. It's just as bad as the Dark Knight Rises ending, where you get John Blake's real name is your first
Robin.
Robin.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. That was awful.
And Bruce is in the first room for
who goes around asking strangers for their last names?
That movie's horrible.
Whatever.
Don't bring that movie.
No, I'm saying even this asking Rey for who the fuck cares? And then she sees her forced mom and dad, which are Luke and Leia. It's like that's just weird.
Some
Whatever.
random Moella from Hialeah walking by.
But I do love that she goes to Tatooine, buries their lightsabers.
Yeah.
And she has her own yellow lightsaber
with her staff.
Which she made from her staff.
It gave me fucking chills. And that's it. I was like, damn. If it wasn't the ending, now I'm more fascinated with her story. What happens next?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm now more interested in that. If we do get a book or comic, whatever, I have to read it immediately. I'm now more fascinated with a Force user who is literally tapped into both sides.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's our take. We'll talk a little bit more about this next week because
our take is complicated, but
I think it's clear. So we'll get a little bit more about this with George comes back next week, so he'll have an opinion. Plus, next week we'll also talk about The Witcher Season 1 because I believe we all watched it. So we'll get
George's nickname.
Yeah, we'll get George's nickname too. Thanks for listening. We're on all social media, all podcast platforms. Give us a ring. Let us know what you think.
Subscribe, like, rate, review, do all the things.
Tune in next week. More comics, more talk, more TV. And we'll see y'all next time.
This is the way.
This is the way.